Well, welcome in YouTube Nation. Welcome in to yet another rendition here of Skap Live After Dark. Welcome in to all of you out there in the lounge here on the heels of yet another shocking choke job in this series. It's just like a series of chokes. Like which team could out choke the other one? It looks like that's where we're on. Like any way you can choke, I can choke better, is what this series looks like it is going to be about. As the Knicks massive, unprecedented game one choke job, really with that 14-point lead in the last 2.5 minutes of game one, a 9-point lead in the waning minute of that game one, gave way to game two. Where, look, the Knicks might not have choked, but for them to blow game one and then come back and not get game two, to go down 0-2 as I think the favorited team in this one, you really can say that it was nothing else but a choke job. So then it looked all of a sudden like the Pacers sweep might be on. It certainly appeared that way in tonight's game as the Pacers were up 20 in the first half. So, yes, this wasn't a Boston Celtician like choke. Obviously, we saw them choke away 2 second half 20-point leads in the last round against the Knicks. But this was a pretty breathtaking choke in and of its own right for the Indiana Pacers. My goodness, Indiana up 20 and looking to take the insurmountable 3-0 lead. And look, I'm not good at math. Okay, that's why I typically, if you guys ever watch my videos out there who are in the lounge right now, I typically will say, for those of you not good at quick math, let me help you out with it, because I myself am pretty poor at math. But I am good enough at math to know that the odds of the Knicks coming back in this series, had Indiana won tonight, had Indiana held on to that 20-point lead at home, the odds of the Knicks winning the series were exactly 0%. I know that because in all of NBA history, no team ever has overcome an 0-3 deficit. So the task was simple for Indiana leading into halftime, as they were a couple minutes out from getting into halftime and getting into the locker room, and they were up by 20. So just hold that 20-point lead and you win the series. You go to the NBA Finals. Easy peasy for the Indiana Pacers, but not so fast, because the New York Knicks storm back in the second half, primarily in the fourth quarter. Looking at that 36-20 discrepancy in the fourth quarter by the Knicks, in favor of the Knicks, I should say. And for once, the Knicks did not throw up all over themselves down the stretch, as they hold on for the win, seemingly, I guess, to get right back in this game. You know, there's an old saying in basketball, really in sports in general, where it's series related, in terms of like you need to win like so many games of a series to advance. The series doesn't begin until a home team loses. So, or until a team at home loses, or until a team fails to protect or defend home court. Well, so far, no one can defend home court. We've played now 3 games so far, and not one single team has won on the home court. It's just one team after the next winning on the road, one team after the next stumbling over themselves to the finish line, throwing up all over themselves. And look, this looks like it's going to be a battle of attrition here. What we've got here are 2 kind of historical franchises that really haven't been, in the NBA Finals for over 20 years. The Knicks' last appearance in the NBA Finals was all the way back in the strike-shortened season in 1999, when they lost in the NBA championship round to the San Antonio Spurs. And then I'm pretty certain that the Pacers haven't been there since the very next year. In the 2000 season, the Pacers got there and lost to the Shaq and Kobe Lakers in 6. So literally back-to-back appearances for these Knicks and these Pacers, and then neither have been back all the time since. So one of these teams trying desperately to get back in there for the first time in well over 20 seasons. And neither team looking like they particularly want it that badly, because nobody can hold these just astronomical sized leads. Sure, a 14-point lead isn't that gigantic for game one for the Knicks, but it is in the last 2.5 minutes. And then the Pacers, obviously, as I said, up 20 points at home with essentially just a win and the series is over. Like that's basically what we're talking about here. Because again, never in NBA history has any team ever overcome an 0-3 deficit. I certainly did not like the Knicks' prospect of doing such in this series, but now they won't have to, because the Indiana Pacers come all the way from behind. The Indiana Pacers pry a loss out of the jaws of victory tonight as they get absolutely beaten down in the fourth quarter. Again, 36-20 in the fourth quarter in coming back there and getting that 6-point win, 106-100 tonight. And really, look, Jalen Brunson was there, I guess, 23 points. Not a great shooting night for him on 6 of 18. Really, the hero tonight for the New York Knicks is Karl Anthony Towns, the much maligned Towns that basically Minnesota couldn't wait to get rid of. They traded him in the offseason for Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo. So Karl Anthony Towns comes over, and look, Karl Anthony Towns just had a great year this year. He is, at this point, you have to start talking about him as a perennial all-star. I'm pretty certain, we went over the All-NBA teams last night, pretty certain Karl Anthony Towns was third team. I think he was third team All-NBA this season. Let me just confirm that. Yes, he was. So Karl Anthony Towns, an all-star this year, All-NBA third team, and the hero of tonight's game, really keyed the comeback for his Knicks tonight. And now the Knicks find life, and really not much be said about the Indiana Pacers. Another pretty balanced team effort, but a team effort in blowing and choking away that 20-point first half lead. And like I said, still, it was still about, I believe it was a 14-point advantage still for the Indiana Pacers at the end of the third. So it still took, a Herculean fourth quarter lift for the New York Knicks. And I mean, the body language looked bad for the Knicks in the first half. Really, you could just see the writing on the wall for this series. It definitively looked like Sweep City. And now here we are. Like, apparently, it is a series again. And can one team win one home game in this series? Is it possible? Could we get can we get someone that can hold like a 12, 14-point lead in the fourth quarter? I don't know the answer to that question. To this point through 3 games, the answer is no. So just, a gritty come from behind win for the New York Knicks. And you know what this will be? Who knows? Perhaps this could key maybe just some kind of a heroic, legendary-like comeback from the Knicks on the heels of that monumental choke job in game one. I still don't think so. I still think advantage Pacers. They do get the next game at home. Obviously, they know they let one go tonight. They're probably going to be kicking themselves. They know 3-0 would have all but ended this series, likely in 4 in the clean sweep. Now, even if they get the next one, they still have to then go travel to New York, play another one there. And then if they fail to close out, then obviously the series will shift then again back to Indiana, where they will have their opportunity to end this series in 6 in Indiana, but did not have to go through all of those potential hoops and hurdles to close this one out. They had it right there sitting on a platter for them, and they just could not capitalize. They could not execute. And so here we go. 20-point blown lead in this one. Congratulations to the New York Knicks for not just allowing themselves to get that broom treatment out of the playoffs. And congratulations to the Knicks fans tonight. First and foremost, obviously, is our guy Cusmo Jimbo. So got to give the shout out right off the bat here to Cusmo. Welcome into everybody that is on hand tonight in the lounge, in the Skap Live After Dark lounge here, and Cusmo obviously is going to be coming in. I knew he would be coming in tonight. You think about, now we've got the regulars here in the lounge, Gary, and welcome into moderator Gary, who is,
yes, sir.
Of course, here as well tonight. You get the regulars in here, Gary. You start to know these guys and start thinking about certain people as you're watching games and stuff. So, what does Cusmo have to say right off the bat here for us?
My Knicks came back. Who's choking now, Ty?
Yep. It is. It certainly is the Pacers who are choking now. So, we'll see. I still think advantage Pacers because the next game is at home and they are still up 2-1. They still hold the 2-1 series edge in this one. So, I still think the Pacers will win this. This is just too evenly matched of a series in my estimation to let that game one get away, but then not come back. Look, if you just let the game one go and then you came back and won game two on your home court and equalize things there, and then okay, now you come and steal this game back and the Pacers choke all over themselves and barf on themselves in this one. Now all of a sudden, okay, you've re-seized home court advantage. Like you have seen a choke for a choke, so to speak, and the scales will have been evened out. But as it stands right now, still to me, big advantage Indiana. They went and got, to me, I always say it, like when you're the home team, I think game one is like a must win almost. So because then game two is definitively a must win because you can't lose them both. It's very, very rare. Just in general, like percentages wise in league history, it is very rare to win a series to come back after you've gone down 0-2. Just because it means, first of all, like the nature of being down 0-2 indicates that probably you're not the better team in the series. Now, sometimes weird things happen, but at the very least, more than likely, you're at like a pretty evenly matched team. And then if you go up 2-0, that means essentially you just have to not lose 4 out of 5 games. That's why I keep saying in the other series, like, good luck beating Oklahoma City 4 out of 5. Minnesota missed the split. So like ultimately the percentages are not with you if you go down 0-2 all time. But when you lose the first 2 at home, and then you're down 0-2 and you're going on the road, the percentages look even slimmer for you. So still, to me, advantage Indiana. I think these teams are very evenly matched in terms of their rosters, what they bring to the table, and hell, in terms of their inconsistencies at times and choke jobs, as they have put on display, each of them now, on full display in the first 3 games. So I think ultimately, I like Indiana to come get the next game, game 4, and take that 3-1 lead. And then, it's pretty rare in NBA history. It gets the percentages just keep going down and down and down as you get closer to the getting that 4, and you're further away, so to speak, as the Knicks. So we'll see. I still think their backs are totally against the wall. And that is an absolute must win, of course, for them being down 2-1. So we'll talk Cusmo, Jimbo. You can slide back into the lounge on whatever it is, Tuesday night, I guess. And we can talk then about your Knicks chances of winning the series then at that point.
What did you start out with? Did you believe Knicks in 7?
To start, I had Gary. Yes, I had Knicks in 7 to start, and then as soon as the choke happened in game 1, is when I immediately pivoted and said Pacers in 6. Okay. And then when they won game 2, I said Pacers in 6, Gary, though, believing full-heartedly that that the Knicks would win game 2, though, and make it 1-1. And I still like the Pacers in 6. So then when the Pacers won game 2 as well, then all of a sudden I pivoted to Sweep City, which, I mean, it clearly should have been with the Indiana Pacers again tonight, blowing a 20-point lead. Now it was in the first half that they had the 20-point lead. So it's not like it was very, very late, but they were still up like 14 at the end of 3. And then the Knicks, like I said, stormed back in the fourth quarter, 36-20 in the fourth quarter. So, I mean.
So this is my question. What if the Knicks protect road court advantage and win game 4 and the series is tied 2-2? Then who are you going to take?
I mean, look, if at that point, if the Knicks win the next game and it is all of a sudden 2-2, best of 3, 2 of 3 coming in the Garden, at that point, I will completely flip-flop back to my original take at the beginning of the series, which was Knicks in 7. But like I said,
Skap flip-flop tracker. I want to track the flip-flops that Skap makes throughout this series. So there's been one flip-flop so far. And Tuesday night, we'll see if there's a second flop.
Right. Like I said, but like I said, Gary, I do not see that happening. Like I do not see, I do not, I
well,
think
we didn't see Indiana winning game 2 either.
That is true, Gary. But I mean, again, but I thought you could say the same thing. Look, about the Knicks, I think the Knicks were not. You could say the Knicks blew a big lead. What I'm about to say, you can utilize that same train of thought and apply it to, I guess, if you wanted to tonight, to the Pacers. But I think it's different because in game 1, you see the huge blown lead, 14 points with 2.5 minutes to go in the fourth. You see that big lead and the fact that they blew it. So then going into game 2, the methodology might be, well, okay, the Knicks blew that game. However, they did get a 20-point lead. So, or a 14-point lead or whatever. So you would think like they are like good enough to kind of dominate this team. So they probably will right the ship going into game 2. But like that wasn't the way the game was going though. The game was close the whole way in game 1. It was like a tight game. Indiana actually kind of had control of the game in the first half. And then it was a 2-point game late or early in the fourth quarter in game 1. A 2-point. The Knicks were up 2 in the fourth quarter early on. Brunson picked up his 5th foul, went to the bench, and then the Knicks went on this furious like 14-0 run as soon as Brunson went to the bench to get that distance and separation. Then the Pacers stormed all the way back. So it's not like the Knicks were just like dominating the Pacers in game 1, like the Celtics were dominating the Knicks in games 1 and 2 last round. Conversely, this game, the Pacers were dominating the Knicks though. Like the Pacers were dominating the Knicks most of the game and they just completely fell apart in the fourth quarter. So to me, like I think the Pacers have shown to be the better team throughout the course of this series. So I just don't think with everything on the line and the context of this game going the way that it went, I just don't think that the Knicks will win game 4 to equal this series, to split this out 2-2. But hey, as has been evidenced to this point, I've been wrong before. So, that's, as Chris Berman used to famously say on NFL Primetime, that's why they play the games. So we'll see Tuesday, I believe it is. We shall see. I've got the Pacers going up 3-1. And then, I think at that point, I've got the Pacers winning in 6, like was my original pivot point after game 1 when I said Indiana in 6. I think the Knicks will go home to Madison Square Garden, play for pride, win that game, stave off elimination, get it back to Indiana, and then Indiana will close them out in 6. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at right now. Much to the dismay of Cusmo Jimbo, who no doubt is likely feeling pretty good about himself in this game right here. So ultimately, though, you can't you can't look, the Pacers just let one go, just let a big, easy, winnable game to essentially end the series because it would have been 3-0. They just let it go. But to lose a game one like the Knicks lost, and then to not come back in game two on the heels of it, like you just can't let those games go. I don't think. I'm a big believer in that like even when a team then will respond in the next game. So which look, hey, so they did. The Knicks responded tonight. They came out. They did what they needed to do on the road in a difficult environment, overcoming a big deficit. But, you can just look back. NBA history is littered with situations where, like, you look like, it just happened last series. Me being a big Nuggets fan, I came on here looking like my best friend had just died when the Nuggets blew their 8-point lead at the end of the third quarter in game 5. Look, you just knew that they lost. Like that was the game they lost, the series, right? Like, because they had to win that game 5, get it to game 6 in Denver and close in that game. So like you knew they weren't going to win game 7. So, and it was an 8-point lead at the end of 3, which isn't a crazy huge lead, but they were up, I think 9 with like 9 minutes to go in the fourth. It's just a winnable game. So when they got absolutely destroyed down the stretch of that game, everybody but Nikola Jokic vanished. Jokic had like 13 points on 4 of 6 shooting, and the rest of the entire Nuggets team combined 1 of 15 in that fourth quarter for 4 points. And they just completely collapsed and blew the game. And I came on here and was just so utterly distraught and said the series was over. And people said, believe, believe, believe. And then they did come out, and they pretty much, their most dominant effort against the Thunder in the series was in game 6. They basically led almost wire to wire, or at least it was like a tight game wire to wire. And they pulled away in the later stages of the third and just cruised to like a 12, 13-point win. And, people were feeling real good about it and talking about, oh yeah, game 7, there's a chance. But we knew that they couldn't go in there and win that game. So like, I feel like that tonight is kind of just like a little example of that. Like the Knicks come, they do what they had to do. They take this game, and people are saying, oh, see, like the Knicks are back in it. Like they've overcome the game 1 and 2. It doesn't work that way. Like they're in best of 7s. It's not like this is a best of 100 or a best of 1,000. Like it's the first to win 4 games out of 7. Like you can't just throw away certain games like that, like a 14 with 2.5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter at home in game 1 and just come back from it all of a sudden. So that's why I pivoted a hard pivot to the Pacers after that game. And I'm standing behind it. But Cusmo Jimbo, and to moderator Gary's point in question, if the Knicks go out and somehow win game 4 as well, then in Indiana, which would be shocking. I mean, this kind of shit happens in hockey a lot. Where you see like road teams winning like I remember a couple hockey games recently, or hockey series recently, where like the road team wins like every game until game 7. And then like maybe the home team will win game 7. But like even in like baseball, you see weird things happen. And that's because there are neutralizing effects in hockey and baseball that are like, go beyond the team, go beyond the crowd. Like in hockey, a hot goaltender, so to speak, standing on their head could really neutralize things and take advantages, suck advantages away. And same in baseball, like with pitching, either starting pitching or your bullpen. Now, in recent years, it's always been said, like in baseball, like momentum is only as good as your next day starting pitcher or whatever in baseball. But now in recent years, more so than starting, it's more about your middle relief and your closers. So your setup guys and then the closers. But like that kind of can neutralize advantages in home court advantage, home field advantage, so to speak. But look, in basketball, this is very rare to see just the road team win every game. So like, I do not expect the road team to win 4 times in a row to start this series. But hell, we've seen stranger things. Even in the course of these playoffs, we've seen stranger things. So this has just been a zany, crazy, wild NBA playoff so far to this point. And like, why would it be any different, I guess, into the conference final? So we will certainly see on Tuesday night. Just to clean it up on the Indiana Pacers end of things tonight, Halliburton, 20 points, 6 assists for him. Miles Turner, 19 points, 6 of 12 shooting. Pascal Siakam, last game's big hero with his 39 gigantic points, 17 on 7 of 14. And then TJ McConnell was big off the bench for them, 12 points on 5 of 9 shooting. Like I said at the lead here, just a balanced team attack by Indiana. We went over it last night. They have, I believe it is 7 players averaging in double figures in the regular season, and they have 6 players averaging in double figures in the playoffs now. So just a balanced team attack. For the Knicks, it was like I said, Brunson had not really that good of a game at all for him. 23 points on 6 of 18, and Karl Anthony Towns was the big hero to me. Karl Anthony Towns led the push here to come in this comeback. Come from behind, this big time comeback for the New York Knicks. And then, Josh Hart, actually, there was a lot of news about him coming into the game because he was relegated to the bench. The Knicks shifted their lineup up a bit tonight. They went bigger. So they moved Hart to the bench. But while he didn't start, he did finish. So Hart was on the floor down the closing stretches of the fourth quarter, and he was making big plays. He got a couple big rebounds, including like the rebound that kind of sealed the deal. It was a 2-point game. Indiana missed, and Hart just secured the rebound, got fouled, and then that was pretty much all she wrote. That ended the game essentially and secured the Knicks with this big come from behind win. So an unsung hero tonight. Hart only 8 points and 1 of 3. But 34 minutes still. So he didn't start, but he played 34 minutes, which actually was the 3rd most of any Knicks player. So I think a bit more made than needed to be made with the lineup change up there. And 10 rebounds for him. Second on the team, second behind only Karl Anthony Towns, who I've been saying that he was the guy that keyed it. 24 points and 15 rebounds for the all-star Karl Anthony Towns and all-NBA 3rd team that basically no one wanted in Minnesota. Everyone said good riddance to him in Minnesota when he was shipped out, and he has been great for the Knicks all season, and he is the real reason why the Knicks still have a pulse tonight in this series and are still drawing breath. But Cusmo Jimbo, thank you for coming in here early, right off the bat. Essentially, as soon as I got on, I think Cusmo Jimbo, who is a pretty regular here in the lounge and a regular sponsor as well. I think he had sent this super chat to us before I even got on live. So thank you very much, Cusmo. And we've also got another regular sliding in here on the super chat forum, so to speak, another sponsor in the lounge. So thank you, Enforcer. Gary, what does the Enforcer have for us?
These playoff teams saw the LeChoke documentary and said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, I don't know, Enforcer, if the Enforcer is talking about my LeChoke documentary, but of course it's been now 2 years since my my illustrious, famous LeBron documentary event, The Last Choke series, hit YouTube airwaves.
That's when I first saw you.
Yeah, beginning with The Last Choke, which it came out literally the night the Lakers were eliminated by the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals in the 2023 playoffs. So basically, that's really when my channel began, I would say. I had started like 2 or 3 months earlier with posting, but that video, The Last Choke, which the full title was The Last Choke, the LeBron James documentary event. That was the video that really like brought my channel to the forefront, I think. And then I made like 4 or 5 other entries into it, like The Last Flop, The Last Excuse, and all of them did very well. And I made them all within like a couple 2-week span after they got swept by the Denver Nuggets in the 2023 West Finals. And I've just been biding my time for the tides to be right. but like I have a follow-up to the last choke about this season. I don't know if I'm going to call it the last choke part 2 or potentially the next choke, but it is ready to go. So like I'm just waiting for a good time, like a good break or stoppage here in things for me to unleash that. So we got about 300 people in the lounge here. Keep your eyes open for the next choke or the last choke part 2 coming to a YouTube channel near you very soon.
The last choke part 2, choke harder.
Could be. Although, quite frankly, I still think that 2023, that was just a glaring choke job by the Lakers, by LeBron. The Lakers were in like every game. They were in 3 of the 4 games, they were within 1 score or up in the fourth quarter very late. And LeBron just was like barking all over himself.
They were in this series against the Timberwolves as well.
They were, and that's why I had to do a little follow-up to it. While they did lose in 5 last year, and it was embarrassing because they led the series like 70% of the time. They like in the 5 games they played last year, they led the series 71% of the time is what it was of the minutes played in the series, and they won only 1 game. However, with that said, like the chokes were not as like hilarious to me in the fourth quarter. Like LeBron wasn't like that bad in the fourth quarters last year. LeBron was horrid in the fourth quarters in 2023. I mean, he was like 7 of 29 or something shooting in the fourth quarters in that 2023 West Finals. And it was similar in this Minnesota series. It was similar. It was just so laughably terrible. And he had Anthony Davis playing his ass off in that 2023 West Finals. And he had Luka this year. Like Luka didn't play great either, I don't think. But like you've got Luka. Figure it out. Like you have a perennial top 5 NBA player in Luka Doncic, one of the best playoff risers in NBA history. Figure it out. Like at the very least, don't get gentlemen swept in the first round. So just another entry in the historical annals of choke of LeBron James. So I felt like a follow-up was needed. So I will be doing, I'll find exactly when I put that original piece out, and like I'll put it out on, like, although I might have missed it. I think it might have been May 23rd, 2023. So I might have missed it. I was going to say, maybe I'll put it out on the day that like the 2-year anniversary was. In fact, I'm just going to check it out right now. Just stay with me here, guys, as I go down this little rabbit hole with you and check it out. All right. They lost game 4 on May 22nd. So I missed it. So 2 years ago, May 22nd, 2023, a 113-111 loss, hilariously enough. And if you remember that game, it was LeBron hitting the side of the backboard with a chance to tie the game. Then with a second chance to tie the game, like 20 seconds later, getting smothered and locked up and blocked by Jamal Murray, of all people, blocked LeBron James's game-tying attempt like 20 seconds after he threw one off the side of the backboard. So just hilarious. And while, again, a tale as old as time, he had 40 points for that game, 40 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists on 15 of 25. Looks like a great game for old Bron. But when you got into the fourth quarter, 1 of 6 for 3 points. So, just a quintessential LeBron type game and series in that series. So I felt like that it needed to be followed up because the Minnesota series is similar this year. But a great point enforcer. These 2 teams, the Pacers and the Knicks now, they're showing you something. They are unequivocally choking their asses off, like both of them. They're like, anything you can choke, I can choke better. Like there's just any given night in the series, like a full 8-9 man rotation in full need of like a Heimlich maneuver at any point throughout the fourth quarter of this series in every game virtually. So It's crazy. And then if you remember, actually, last game, the Pacers nearly choked that away. They were up like 9 or 10 late. And the Knicks got that to one point, like very, very late. So it's just who can keep their lunch down, who can stop from throwing, like who can take in enough Pepto-Bismol to get through 4 wins total, 2 more for the Pacers, 3 more for the Knicks. I don't know. Only time will tell. But I'm not feeling necessarily confident about either of these teams. As I said, I like the Pacers next game, so therefore I like the Pacers in 6. But hell, as I said, I've been wrong before. Enforcer, thank you for coming in, and welcome into another regular here. We've got Will N. Will N., welcome to the party, pal, in the Skap Live After Dark Lounge. Gary, what does Will N. have for us tonight?
LOL. So it took Tibbs 3 games to figure out the Cat and Mitch mismatch against the Pacers, as well as actually free the bench. Wow, just wow.
Yeah, so he's talking about the change that we saw. Again, I alluded to it. Josh Hart was swapped out of the starting lineup. Mitchell Robinson came in to just give more size, obviously, to the Knicks to go with those tandem bigs in Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns. And Karl Anthony Towns, I thought played a great game tonight. I think it was a good, I'd say a good adjustment by Tibbs, but yeah, it did. It took them to get through games 1 and 2. But with that said, though, Will, and like I said when I was talking about that move and the decision to shift Hart to the bench, like he still played 34 minutes. So the only Knicks players that played more than him were Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. Both of them played 37 minutes. So come on up, Luna. Sorry, my little assistant came in. Luna, come on up. I'm just gonna throw her up. Everyone say hi to little Luna. I don't know if you can see her. Let me go ahead and take this. Let me take Will's. Luna, say hi to everyone. You can see her little head there. So she came in to greet us here on the live stream. But yeah, Josh Hart was big, I think. Even though he did not start, he finished. He was on the floor in the waning moments there and got that huge rebound. So it's funny they go small or they go big, so they kind of move Hart to the bench, and yet it's Hart he's listed at 6'4", and he made the play, like the rebound of the game to secure the next win, and then went and iced those free throws. But yeah, good point. Like Thibodeau did make some adjustments. Obviously, they're likely to stay with that moving forward. So, or who knows? Who knows with this series? You never know what these guys are going to do from game to game. We'll see what the Indiana Pacers do. I'm sure they will have a day now to look at it, get in the lab, and figure out what adjustments potentially they want to make into Tuesday. But I think this was just a bad night for Indiana. I mean, they were controlling the game for most of the game, especially in that first half. It looked like the route was absolutely on, like the sweep was absolutely on, that Indiana was going to be heading back to the NBA Finals for the first time for them since the year 2000, when they lost to the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, which started their dynasty. That was, or at least their historic three-peat run. That was the first of the 3 that Shaq and Kobe took together, and the first of Kobe's 5, of course. So that was a long, long time ago. Kobe, I think, was 21 years old when they won that one. So a lot of time has gone by since the Indiana Pacers have been in, and it looked like that drought was about to be snapped tonight in the first half, at least, and then they just could not hold on to it. Like I said, they needed their Pepto-Bismol in the locker room. They just couldn't stop the vomit sesh which would ensue. Obviously, the Knicks know a little bit something about that as well. From games 1 and definitely game 1. And then, you could say game 2 as well by extension. Dylan Davis, what is happening? Welcome in, a regular. Many thanks for you sliding into the lounge and for sponsoring us. Gary, what does Dylan have tonight for us?
The Pacers just let this become a series. Pacers were out-coached, outplayed down the stretch, and played like Knicks changed pace and won.
Yeah. Certainly, look, I still think the Indiana Pacers, I keep saying I sound like a broken record, but I still think the Indiana Pacers will win this series. But you certainly don't want to prolong a series. You don't want to give the other team hope when they have none, or give them life when there is none left. Don't, so to speak, give them let them draw another breath. Just step on their throat and end it. You'd much rather obviously win in 4 games than 6. Which we might be facing the prospect of now. So, I mean, I think let this be a lesson to the Oklahoma City Thunder. That game now is tomorrow night. And I think the Thunder, look, I had them winning in 5. I still have them winning in 5. I did not have them losing by 42 points, though. So I don't know if that is the size of the win or whatever. I don't know if that dynamic has changed anything or the complexity of this moving forward. But let this be a lesson to the Thunder. I still think this is a very short series for them, a gentleman's sweep for them. But if you go out and you don't handle your business tomorrow night, if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder, then I guess maybe they might be looking at the prospect of getting into more of a prolonged series as well. So yeah, good point, Dylan Davis. This series was all but wrapped because you're up 20 at home, and if you just hold that 20-point lead, you're up 3-0 in a series. And as we know, as I've been saying, no team ever in NBA history has ever come back from an 0-3 series deficit. It's quite frankly very rare in the history of all sports. I think it's been done twice in the NHL, the 0-3 comeback, and once in baseball. So never in the NBA. So this was it. If had Indiana just held on and won that one tonight and closed on that 20-point lead that they had in the first, we would already be counting them as good as in the NBA Finals. But now we shall see. The Knicks, a little glimmer of hope. The door is cracked just a little ajar, and we'll see if they can walk through it on Tuesday. But again, not something I would bet on. If I were a betting man, which I used to be. I won't be betting on this game, but if I had to make a bet, I would take the Pacers. I would imagine that line. I always look at the lines, guys. Let me just go ahead and see what the Pacers have been installed as on Tuesday. I would guess it's, Indiana by 2.5. I would probably be laying those 2.5 and taking the Pacers. Or I would just go money line on them because, like I said, I like the Pacers. But thank you, Dylan, for coming in. And now another regular to the lounge here in the sponsorship region of the lounge at that. So Mark Law, welcome back in. Thank you for being here. And Gary, what does Mark have for us tonight? What question or comment?
Any of these teams be worthy champs? Too soon for all.
Yeah, I mean it's curious. What would you denote or designate as a quote like worthy team, or a worthy champ? I think look, these are all by and large younger teams. Minnesota is. Maybe Minnesota has veterans like Mike Conley is, I don't know, probably near 40. He's at least, I think he's like 36 years old, 35 or 36 years old. And then Julius Randle's been around for a number of years now. But, the core, I think a large portion of that team are younger players, younger contributors, of course, led by their best player, Anthony Edwards, who's like 23 or 20. He might be 24 now. This is his aged 23 season. And then the Thunder, obviously very young. They're all basically everyone in their principal core rotation of 10 players are 26 or under, other than Alex Caruso, who I think is 30. He was 30 at the start of the year, but he's 31 now. So just very, very young teams there. The Pacers, look, Pascal Siakam has been around for several years. Again, though, I'm talking like the identity of their team. Tyrese Halliburton is, again, he's like a younger ascending star. And then the Knicks, Brunson, is a veteran. Cat is a veteran. But these teams, these teams are kind of just, There's not many guys with championship experience on any of the 4 teams. I think the Thunder are the massive, overwhelming favorites. They were the Thunder to start the season were the second odds-on favorite to win the championship this season, behind the Boston Celtics. But the Thunder quickly took over as the favorite. Like within the first, I'd say, month and a half of the season, the Thunder quickly established themselves as the team to beat. They've been the odds-on favorite for a while now, I think. They've been my favorite from the beginning. From September, they've been my favorite. They are unequivocally the best team left right now. I think if Boston was still left, was healthy and was playing well, and with the struggles that the Thunder have shown from time to time throughout these playoffs, some might be questioning the validity of if the Thunder have what it takes to beat them in a 7-game series, an established championship team from last year with the talent really to equal them, but veteran talent, guys that have been there and done it. But look, Boston's not there. So I think the Thunder are substantial favorites right now. If you want to say, are they worthy or not? Like, I don't know. They've been playing around a lot in these playoffs. They should have swept Denver, beat them in 5. It took 7. Now, I thought they should beat Minnesota in 5. They got obliterated last game by 42. Not something indicative of a championship caliber team. Typically, you don't get championship. Hell, I think no team has ever even won a series in NBA history where they've lost a game by 40 in a series. Now this team's trying to win a championship after losing a game by 40 in the playoffs. By far their worst beating of the entire season. So I don't know if you want to say they're worthy or not worthy or whatever. But I do think they will become like the team to beat over the next 5 years. I've not made any qualms about saying that. I've been saying it for basically 8 months that this team was going to win multiple championships over the next 5 years. I still haven't seen anything to deter my logic or my reasoning on that. Now, are they worthy? I don't know. They typically worthy teams don't throw away multiple games. Like they just threw games away against Denver. And then look, I thought they'd lose game 3 to Minnesota, but to just absolute systematically no show from top on down, every single player, not show up at all in that game. Yeah, it's pretty alarming stuff. So, we'll see. I think though, Mark, sometimes you don't really know a team, a first-time champion. All of these teams will be first-time champions, not just first times for like most of these players. There's a few players here or there that have been on championship teams. Siakam for Indiana, and then Caruso for Oklahoma City. So like there's like a smattering of like a handful of players like throughout the rosters that have been champions, but by and large, the principal core of these teams like have not been champions. And then these teams in general, the franchises, have not won championships in like decades. So, it's hard to say that these are championship caliber teams or these are worthy NBA champion teams because they haven't done it yet. Like usually now it's like, it's going to be in hindsight that we sit back and look and reflect and say like, oh yeah, okay, they had what it took. Like they were like a viable championship caliber team. So I think some team will present themselves here in the next, 2 to 3 weeks. And we'll look back on them then in the aftermath and say like, yes, they were that team. And now I've got little Luna back in the mix. You can see her there down by the corner. But many thanks to you, Mark, for coming in. And then Gary, I see some large denomination here, so I feel like we have to jump ahead. I don't know exactly what this. I think we've had a couple of these.
I think it's Serbian dinar.
Okay, so it's a Serbian dinar. It's a big looking denomination. I don't know what the conversion is, but still, I like Serbia. I like
it's around $25 US.
So I like the way that this super chat is looking in general. So I just want to put it up there. Give Marco a shout out. Marco, some people come in and say like, I'm an honorary Serbian, or they'll call me like their honorary Serbian brother. So I just want to come in and give Marco a shout out. because many of the Serbians that come through here know that I am a big Nikola Jokic defender and supporter, which I will be till I draw my last breath. I will support and defend Nikola Jokic until, there will come a day that I will not support him and defend him. It's when he actually gets some viable supporting cast help and fails with it. But prove me wrong, because I don't think that will happen. I think if Nikola Jokic actually got a viable supporting cast around him for one damn year in his entire career, which he hasn't had to this point, I think it would be championships galore. Like, give him Luka Doncic, or give him Giannis Antetokounmpo, or just give him like viable 6 or 7 like legitimate role players. Like, give him one of those. Either give him a top frontline star, or give him like 5 or 6 actual good players. Like, well, I know it's crazy to expect that for the best player in the NBA, to have either like a deep team with like 5 or 6 legitimate players or one top line star, but he hasn't had it. And therefore I will never criticize him for any of the losses that he incurs, because he's overachieved to this point. The amount of playoff wins he has accrued, the amount of series he has won, the championship that he has, all icing on the cake of what has just been a ridiculous overachievement from this guy. So many Serbians that come through, shout out to Serbia, like Skap. They like me because I point these things out and I defend our boy Nikola. So I just want to put Marco up here with this lofty looking, whatever the conversion rate is, I don't know, but 2,500 in the Serbian, whatever that. What's the RSD? Do you know what it's called, Gary?
It's Serbian dinar.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Let me see. I don't know what the R stands for. Maybe reserve or something, but it's Serbian dinar.
Okay. All right. Well, go ahead and read this one for us.
Okay. He says, I like your icon photo there, Marco. It's a pretty cat. Marco Dogic. Did I pronounce that right? Skap, I subbed you 2 years ago. You're the best. The likes of Harden and floppied Embiid, SGA are disgrace. Play so shamefully besides their skill set. There's rumor Ty Jerome coming to Denver. Trade Kinkar, Saric, Hunter, Najee Jordan, Murray, and Porter Jr. too overpaid. Gordon deserves more money.
Yeah, Marco, again, shout out to you. Many thanks for supporting me, the channel, and our boy Nikola. I mean, the roster build, we've talked about it multiple times in the lounge here, and I guess I could just go on yet another tangent on just how abysmal and putrid the team building has been for these Nuggets. Like it's absolutely shocking to me to look at Zeke Nnaji's contract. Like, he doesn't play and he's making $9 million a year. It's ridiculous. And it's not even, it's next year too. So like, and it's not, look, there was a lot of speculation that Michael Malone was the problem. Maybe not that he was the problem, but that he's refusing to play these young guys that Calvin Booth drafted and gave ridiculous contracts to. So they get rid of Michael Malone, and Adelman comes in, does a great job. In fact, we talked about it a few days ago. Josh Kroenke has confirmed that David Adelman is the guy moving forward. They removed the interim tag. And guess what David Adelman didn't do? Play Zeke Nnaji either. So, like, nobody wants to play this dude. He stinks. He obviously can't play. Like, if you get 2 head coaches now in the NBA, seeing this guy, which Adelman's been there all along, like, he's in practice. He knows what Nnaji has to offer, and he's not playing him either. So you have a dead contract, $9 million a year, including still next year for this guy who didn't even play. Dario Saric, who is now, he made like $5 or $6 million this year. He's $5 or $6 million again next year. Again, did not play in the playoffs, basically. Did not even appear. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, they play 15, 20 minutes a game and score like 3 or 4 points. They're just not really big contributors. No, they don't play at all. So the fact that you have whatever, $15 million committed. When you're up against the apron and you have 15 mil committed to those two guys, just absolute dead spaces in the roster. Like, it's insanity. And then we're not even talking about the guys who can play a little bit, but are overrated. Like, again, Jamal Murray, in my estimation, not a $55 million a year player. I mean, he's okay. If he's not, maybe he's not a bum like I presented him to be in the past, but he ain't an all-star. He's not all NBA. And even if he is, you want to say a fringe cusp of an all-star type player, he's like the 15th highest paid player in the NBA. He certainly shouldn't be paid as a top 20 player. And then don't get me started on Michael Porter Jr. Guy can't defend, can't put the ball on the ground, can't get other players involved. And barely, look, he's like a 40% three-point shooter like he has to be with all those things that I just mentioned. But you better be making 5 a game or something from 3 if you can't do literally anything else. And he's always evaporating in the postseason for whatever reason it is. This year, they'll say it was his shoulder, but he disappeared last year too in that Minnesota series in the semis. And now it gets me to this point. I do love Aaron Gordon, and I think he is adequately paid at around $35 million a year. And I like Christian Braun. I think Christian Braun was the 3rd best player at stages of the playoffs. At various stages, I think he was like the 3rd best player in the playoffs. But now we get to him. He's due an extension this summer. And I see reports, estimates coming from, the sources within the Nuggets organization that extension is going to be something along the lines of $30 million annually for Christian Braun. Like, that is so overpaid. Like, no matter what you want to say, like, Christian Braun is a really nice player. He's like the 5th or 6th best player on a championship team. So, and you're going to pay that dude $35 million a year. Get the hell out of here. These are the problems. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, basically, Aaron Gordon and Christian Braun should be your 4th and 5th best players on a championship team. Now, they're basically the 2nd and 3rd best player most of the times. Like, yes, Jamal Murray has a ceiling where, like, if he's at ceiling, he plays like a 20 to 25 best player in the league, maybe. But, like, how often does he execute that ceiling? Like, once every 7 games? So, I mean, I think Aaron Gordon and Christian Braun are probably your most consistent players, but they don't have the ceiling to warrant $70 million of cap space between them. Not when you have $90 million of cap space already committed to Murray and Porter Jr. and the aforementioned other horrendous contracts of Zeke Nnaji and Dario Saric. So this is just, it's terrible, and it's just getting worse, it looks like, moving into next year for Nikola Jokic and for the Denver Nuggets. So, Marco, thank you very much again for coming in and for supporting us here in the lounge. And thank you not just for your very generous donation, but also just for your 2 years now of support. I basically have really only been doing this for about 2 years. So you've been around with me from the very beginning of the journey, and I'm very, very thankful to you for that. So I appreciate that. And now we have another regular generous sponsor as well to the Skap After Dark Lounge. So Sully's Tech Hub, many thanks to you and welcome into you. Gary, what does Sully have tonight for us?
Photoshop Adam Silver's face onto George W. Bush's body. Scott Foster leans in and whispers, "Sir, there's been another Lakers first-round exit."
So yes, that obviously a reference to 9/11 with that iconic, famous moment where Bush is actually he's in Florida, actually right around where I'm at, I think. And when the news breaks that the towers had been hit, and one of the Secret Service agents whispers in his ear, obviously a very iconic moment and just an impactful moment that obviously still resonates throughout the history of the United States of America and the world as a whole. But yes, applying that applying that though, and making a somewhat light of it, I guess, not obviously not of the circumstances there, but just I think that the grave aspect of the Lakers being bounced from the playoffs really is what Sully's Tech Hub is kind of commenting on here, that it is like a very grave event for the state of the NBA and for Adam Silver's offices. Anytime that LeBron goes out early, anytime that the Lakers go out early, and it seems like it happens every year, essentially. So the Lakers won that bubble, that BS, crappy, fake championship in 2020 that basically should never have existed, in my estimation. I don't think they should have even finished that season. You can't just suspend the season for 3 months and then come back and play some preseason exhibition thing or whatever on one standalone campus. Like it was so weird and surreal. Like either you play through that situation or you just cancel the season, one or the other. You know, if it's a week or 3 weeks or whatever, fine, but 3 months basically off and then they come back. So that if you remove that though, LeBron's been in his entire Laker tenure, he's made it out of the first round only one other time. So like literally take that. If that season didn't exist, then LeBron's played whatever 6-7 years in a Laker uniform and made it out of the first round once. He either loses in the first round every year or doesn't even make the playoffs. So like you would think like Adam Silver, Commissioner Gargoyle, would be licking his chops whenever his golden goose LeBron made his way to one of the preeminent franchises and one of the preeminent markets in the United States of America, hell, the world, in Los Angeles. And you would be thinking like, oh boy, how many can LA get? Oh, and they get AD. And now it's, and they get Luka. Like, how deep there's LeBron's going to get a plethora of championships. The ratings will be through. I don't think so. So sorry, Adam. Thanks for playing. And it's just been one first round exit out after the next. So good point, Sully. And again, thank you for coming in and supporting us. I see another one coming up from Sully. Actually, we'll just jump to that one. It's like 2 away. We'll just go back to back on Sully. Gary, what's this next one from Sully have?
I'm just thinking about how marketable Skap's brand of saying is. Imagine a Hanes commercial featuring Skap for the comfort of your
ass. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I don't want to toot my own horn here, Gary, or others that are watching in the lounge, but I think I have what it takes to be an underwear model. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to show any of that off or anything here, but I'm just saying, you could use your imagination. So, I think maybe we could make that work. I don't know if Skap's Extra Strong Cologne is in the lounge tonight or is watching, but if Skap's Extra Strong Cologne is watching, maybe they could start working on my underwear line as well. And we don't even have to have it be Hanes. It could be my own line. Like it could just be like AHZ or something like that. Could be the line. And the lettering could just be on the ass. Like you could just have on the ass. Like I think we might be onto something. Again, my marketing team, which consists of Skap's Extra Strong Cologne, could start working diligently on that. Hopefully if they are in the lounge. But right now, welcome back into another regular here, Giuseppe DeRosa. Welcome back in. Welcome to the party, pal. As the famous John McCain once said when he was in the towers of Nakatomi Plaza there. So welcome into the lounge. Thank you for your continued support and generosity here for us. And Gary, what does Giuseppe have for a question or comment?
Skap, do you think Kobe actually only slept 3 to 4 hours a night? And if Kobe was the hardest worker, why didn't he become the GOAT?
I think, yes, I do believe that. While Kobe was playing, he did not sleep very often. While he only slept it was like 2 or 3 hours a night, I think was what it was as legend goes. But I think it was more like he slept more per day, but only like he would take like he would sleep 2 or 3 hours a night. Then he would take like another hour nap sometime during the day. Then like one more hour nap during the day. So he would sleep more than just like 2 or 3 hours a day, but it would just be in like increments broken up. And yes, I do believe that he had the famed 666 workout, which he really didn't talk about much when he was playing, but it kind of became. Kobe was very secretive when he was playing. You see the friendships and stuff going on today. Giuseppe, I see, if that is in fact your picture, you look like a young gentleman. So, in case you are not aware of some of the legend of Kobe Bryant, he had this famed 666 workout, and he wouldn't. Players today like want to be buddies and work out in the off season and like, get insight from each other and like pick each other's minds, whatever. Kobe didn't do that when he was a young player. He notoriously like did not want to work out with other guys ever. It was a big thing when he went to the Olympics in 2008, because it gave other players the insight into Kobe and like his work ethic and stuff. And a lot of those guys, even like today, talk about that experience of seeing Kobe Bryant in his element of like how hard he worked, like what levels that he took it to, and the level of commitment and devotion to his craft that he had. And like even LeBron James is on record of saying like, I mean, that guy's just different from the rest of us. Like that, like seeing that is kind of what propelled those guys, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, to like try to know that they had to take it more seriously, because Kobe Bryant was just insane. But the 666 workout was 6 days a week, 6 months a year, and 6 hours a day. That was the 666 workout that he did in the off season, which entailed a combination of weight training, making like a certain number of shots, like 2,000 shots a day, working on game moves and stuff, and then like grueling conditioning, like sprinting miles a day to just make sure he was conditioned as well as he possibly could be. And then look, you can go through YouTube and find a series of just absurd Kobe stories. One of my all-time favorites actually is Jay Williams, who is the former Jason Williams. He was the All-American legendary college player for Duke, who came in to the NBA as a high pick. I think he was the 4th or 5th overall pick, I think by Chicago. And then his career had an unfortunate, and I think he basically wrapped his leg around a tree or something on a motorcycle, and basically ended his career at a very young age. A sad story. And he was a great college player, one of the best college players I've ever seen in my life. But he tells this great story now, like 20 years later. I think he might have told the story in the aftermath of Kobe's death, or maybe a few years before Kobe passed away. But the story is great. It's Jay Williams as a young player, and they went to play. His team went as a visitor into Staples to play the Lakers, the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. So this is still kind of young Kobe. And Jay Williams said like he had this thing where like he wanted to get out on the floor like hours before the game and work out, get like a really good workout in, because it's a huge game. They're playing against the defending champion Lakers, Shaq, Kobe, blah, blah, blah. So he gets out there, and he gets out there hours before the game, and Kobe is already there, like already in like full sweat, as Jay Williams would say it, and like already like well into a workout. And Williams did his entire workout routine, which was like 45 minutes or an hour. And he looks over at the other end of the court, and Kobe's still going at it. And as Williams would tell it, like full game moves, like he's going like 100%, drenched in sweat. And Williams said, I got to see how much longer this goes on. So like he went over and sat down on like the side in one of the seats and just watched Kobe like going at it for like another 40 minutes or whatever. Finally, Williams retreats into the locker room to get ready for like the pregame stuff. And after the game, the Lakers win the game. Kobe scored 40 on them that night. And Williams says, like, after the game, I had to know. Like, I went over and I had to ask. So he's like, Kobe, like, I saw you before the game. Like, what's the story with that? And Kobe said, I saw you were there, and I wanted you to know that no matter how hard you're willing to work, you'll never outwork me. Like, I'm always willing to go beyond whatever you will. And Jay Williams was like, that is when I knew, like, this is different. Like that, like even as a top, one of the, like I said, best college players I've ever seen. Like, he said, this is different. This guy is built different. Like, this is what greatness looks like. This is the level you have to take it to. So, Giuseppe, to answer your question in a roundabout way, I think Kobe got the closest to any player we've ever seen to Jordan. I think Kobe will be the closest player we ever see to Jordan. I think the tangible, quite frankly, I'm going to be real with you, Giuseppe. I think the tangible on-court product equaled Jordan. I think what Kobe brought to the table on the basketball floor, I think, like, his ability to score to make the most difficult shots I've ever seen any player be able to make routinely, to be the best singular offensive weapon in like a decade plus of time, to be the best defensive player at his position for that same length of time, a ridiculous long amount of time, to have the drive, the competitiveness that he has. I just think tangibly, when you look at prime Kobe versus prime Jordan, and look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm old as hell. I'm way older than you probably, Giuseppe. I wish I was your age, probably whatever, 20 something. But I wish that I was younger. I'm not, but I'm still, even at my advanced age, I am too young to remember like 1980s Michael Jordan. But like from what I saw in like the second three-peat iteration of Michael Jordan, like Kobe Bryant was every bit as good as that guy. Like, to me, if not to me, better, honestly. I'd say the first three-peat maybe better, or like at least I'd say him and Kobe, prime Kobe, were on a par. To me, I see you want to get in, Gary, but let me finish the thought here. I think Kobe was every bit as good as Jordan. I think Jordan was more athletic, stronger, and like more physical, and better at attacking the basket probably than Kobe and finishing at the rim. I think Kobe, his skill set was better though. I think his handles were better than Jordan. I think he was a better shooter than Jordan. And I'd say Jordan, I'd probably give the check mark to defensively as well. But again, slight, because Jordan and Kobe are tied for the most first-team All-NBA defensive selections in NBA history, each with 9. So, Giuseppe, to answer your question, and then I'm going to turn it over to moderator Gary because he wants to add some points here. I think Kobe didn't get to Jordan just because the resume doesn't match up, right? Like, Jordan had 6 championships. Kobe never got to the 6th. Jordan had, two three-peats. Kobe didn't get to the second three-peat. He three-peated once and went back-to-back once. And ultimately, Kobe played harder competition than Jordan and won harder championships than Jordan. I think Kobe had worse teams in his second 2 championships than Jordan ever had, but Jordan never had a player as singularly dominant and excellent as Shaquille O'Neal. So, like, I think while I think those 3 rings for Kobe are unfairly criticized now, and he's not given the proper respect he deserves, because to me, he was a co-best player with Shaq on that first three-peat. Nonetheless, Shaq way better than Scottie Pippen ever was. So I think Jordan's degree of difficulty for all 6 is higher than Kobe's for the 5, but Kobe's degree of difficulty for the 2 with Gasol is higher than anyone that Jordan has. So I think that Kobe is the closest. It's just he didn't quite get there. And he didn't get there, I think, because he was undone by injuries and a shitty organization, which robbed him of multiple years in his prime from being able to compete. So, like, though, that is why Kobe, to me, never really actually got there, but he got damn close. And if his organization wasn't a festering pile of shit, I think he might have been there. But Gary, what's your take? Gary wants to get in here, so I'm going to turn it over to moderator Gary here.
So I wanted to make a couple points. What I think, if you look back at some of the early years of Jordan from 84, 85, 86, even though he was not yet winning, I've never seen another player who looked like that. Not even Kobe came close. If you look at some of that footage, Jordan literally looked like he was gliding in the air. You got Clyde the Glide Drexler, who looked like he kind of glided. Jordan really looked like he was literally floating in the air at times. I've never seen Kobe or anyone else ever look like that. And that ultimately is why I count Jordan as the GOAT, because that, in addition to his 6-0 finals record, I've never seen it. It is mesmerizing to look at. Go back and look at old footage of Jordan from like 84, 85, 86, 87, 88. And it's unreal the way he looked.
There's no doubt Jordan was physically superior to Kobe. He was a much better athlete, I think. Like Kobe, quite frankly, like, yes, he was 6'5", 6'6". He's listed at 6'6", but I think he was closer to 6'5". But like, he had small hands, relatively speaking. He wasn't like, while yes, he was a 6'5", like, and had like a 35-inch vertical leap. So like that, for any normal human being, and even like a lot of NBA players, would be considered athletic, but like not, kind of more of an average athleticism for an NBA arena. Jordan was an elite athlete. Like he was like had like a 49-inch vertical leap. He was like out jumping the volleyball team in the dream team year, like when they were testing verticals and stuff. So Jordan was just a freakish kind of an athlete. Like you can even see, Gary, like to your point, like Kobe won the slam dunk competition, but like those weren't very good dunks, right?
Yeah,
quite frankly, like
that was
like
a weak competition year. Yeah,
those are just like mundane routine dunks. Like when you see Jordan's dunks, like that free throw line dunk is, like you said, like mesmerizing.
Right.
I think
Dominique was his competition. Kobe wasn't going against Dominique. He would have been dominated by Dominique.
Right. And now, so Jordan's, but I think when you look at Kobe, so like Jordan's, I think the 80s Jordan was the best iteration of Jordan. And like maybe the first three-peat 90s, because he then put it all together. He still had the athleticism at that point to some degree, but he had like, his mindset was better. Like his understanding of how to involve his teammates and like how to win was there more so, I think. So maybe like those 3 years were really like the best of Jordan, but his best scoring season was in 86, 87, when he scored 37 points per game on 28 shots a game. Kobe's best scoring season was when he scored 35 points per game in 05-06 on 27 shots per game. So both shot a lot, but both scored a lot. Those are two of the highest single season scoring outputs in NBA history. But you know, I want to just confirm this. I want to confirm exactly what it was, because I think it was 97 points per game in 05-06 when Kobe did that. In 05-06, it was 97 even points per game league-wide with just a snail-like pace. 90 possessions a game on the pace when Kobe did that one. In the year Jordan did it, 110 points per game and a 101 pace. So there were 11 more possessions per game and 13 more points per night. So like, honestly, if you adjust for pace and normalize it per like 100 possessions or whatever, like Kobe, while not, like we're saying, is physically gifted and athletically supercharged as Michael Jordan was, I think Kobe is a better scorer than Michael. I know it sounds crazy because Kobe's a 25 point per game career scorer, and Michael
a better shooter
is a 30 point per game career scorer. So like, and I know it's going to look insane for me to say it, but to me, they're at the very least, I've got Jordan, Kobe, and Wilt, to me, are the three greatest scorers in NBA history, and I think you can put I can make a case for any of the three at number one. So like, I don't want to sound like I'm diminishing or trying to say anything. When I talk about Jordan and Kobe in comparison, I'm not diminished. See, this is the difference between what I do and what LeBron fans do. When they talk LeBron and Jordan, they're diminishing Jordan to try to lift up LeBron. I'm not diminishing Jordan at all. I'm just trying to uplift Kobe. Like when I talk about the context of Jordan and Kobe, it's not to belittle Jordan. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest player ever in my book. But Kobe got a lot closer to Jordan than I think anybody gives Kobe credit for the most part, which is why I talk him up all the time. But Giuseppe, great question. Obviously, we really went off on that one, but I just love to talk Kobe. So and just go ahead, Gary. One more. Yeah.
I have one other quick point to brush up on what you said. This was actually my second point, Giuseppe. To what Jay just said, Kobe had not small hands, but smaller hands than Jordan. It doesn't matter how hard you work, your hands aren't going to just grow and get bigger. So that is probably a reason why Kobe didn't go even further. Had he had the same size hands as Jordan, maybe he would have surpassed them. I think that played a role, actually, believe it or not.
And Jordan had freakishly big hands.
Exactly.
For those of you out there, I don't want to get into like a whatever that one Republican debate thing where it was Trump and Marco Rubio and them talking about hand size. But in all sincerity and honesty, Jordan had freakishly big hands, and like he could control the ball like in such a unique way for a guard, like a bunch of like ball fakes and palm, like one hand, like, and it also made him a better finisher in midair, and like his control of the ball and manipulating it like in the air to the rim, and coupling that with the hang time on the jumps that he had, like he was just like an elite, extraordinary finisher. And when he really added, he was a decent jump shooter from the beginning, but when he added the fadeaway in, and he could control like from either shoulder, like he could go right, turn right or left on the fade. Like it was just, he was unguarded. He was basically
invincible, basically.
Yeah. But great question, Giuseppe. Next, I think, okay, we already did this one. Yep. We already did that Sully Stack Up one. We did this Marco one. Again, shout out to you, Marco, coming to us from Serbia. And thank you for your support. We've got simply Mr. L in here. Gary, what does Mr. L have for us tonight?
Mr. L says, people in real life say hater every time I say LeBron James overrated. That's their mindset.
Fact. No question about it. And I almost did a video on it because I crush people that are idiots like Nick Wright that talk ridiculous shit out of their ass about how Kobe Bryant's like 10th or 12th best player in NBA history or whatever. And that routinely jock sniff LeBron James. So I nearly did a video, a praise video on Michael Wilbon. And I see Gary has kind of stepped out of my line of sight. I don't know if he can hear me or if he can see. Yeah, okay, he does. I just want to see, Gary, did you see Michael Wilbon recently on the LeBron and Kobe Bryant topic? Did you see this?
I haven't seen it yet.
So I almost did a video on it just to praise the great Michael Wilbon.
Yeah, you should.
Big fan of Michael Wilbon. Big fan. Actually, here's a quick, I like to get off topic. Here's a quick. So I don't know if I've mentioned it before on the lounge. I've mentioned it in the past. I was at Michael Jordan's last game he ever played in the NBA that was played in Washington. I'm sorry, it was with Jordan on the Wizards at Philly. So I was at Jordan's last game ever. I was at Kobe's last game ever in Staples against the Jazz when he scored 60. And I was at Tom Brady's last game ever in the playoff game. They got blown out in Tampa, but to the Cowboys. So I was at Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant's last games ever. And I was but a young lad when I was going to that Michael Jordan last game. I think I was either high school, end of high school or early college age. But I actually walked in from the parking lot to the arena with Michael Wilbon. Like I just ran into him in the parking lot and walked in talking to him for probably about 20 minutes on the walk-in. And then when we got inside and he separated and went to obviously the press area, and I went to find my seats. But great guy, really super nice, genuine guy. Took the time, a 20-minute conversation with a young fan. So I've been a big fan of Michael Wilbon for decades. And he was on with Mike Greenberg, who Mike Greenberg is a sycophantic LeBron jock sniffer and has been for years. And they were discussing the David Falk comments, which David Falk, longtime agent of Michael Jordan, said recently that Jordan would have won 15 rings if he cherry-picked the teams and the stars that he played with for his whole career like LeBron did. Of course, now LeBron's longtime agent and bestie, Rich Paul, has gotten in the mix and has fired back on David Falk. I did do a video on this, which you can find on my channel recently. I did it recently. But Wilbon, it was talking recently on air with Mike Greenberg about it, and Wilbon starts in on, and he says, look, I'm of the opinion that LeBron James is an all-time great player. There's no doubt about that. But if you tell me that I have to say that he's better than Magic Johnson or he's better than Bill Russell, well, I'll be damned if I'm going to say that. I don't believe that for a second. And if you tell me that I have to say that LeBron James is better than Kobe Bryant, put me in the grave right now, because I'll never say that. So, like, shout out to Michael Wilbon for his spirited defense of Kobe there. And he's one of the real ones. Wilbon, and Rick Bucher is another one who is still out here, like, whatever, 20 years later, still on the ledge with me and the few others that are still fighting the fight of Kobe is better than LeBron. Like, LeBron never passed Kobe. There are still some out here that believe that. Charles Barkley is another one, by the way. But yes, Mr. L, if you don't have LeBron at 1 or 2, you are obviously a hater. So, like, if I have him like fringe 10 or like 9 or 10 or something like that, like, clearly I'm a hater automatically. Like, that's what that means. It's gotten so absurd to the point where, like, you're basically a hater now if he's not the GOAT. Like, these people like Rich Paul and LeBron James think you're a hater, a delusional hater, if you don't have LeBron at 1 all time. It's ridiculous. But that's just where we're at now. That's where we've gotten to with this guy. It's insane. Welcome.
Can I comment on that real quick?
Yeah, of course.
I just like on that recent video I made a parallel, because you've heard you hear, oh, well, he doesn't have that assassin's mentality at the end of games. LeBron doesn't, like Jordan and Kobe had. But then LeBron fans will fire back, well, Jordan passed the ball to Steve Kerr to take the last shot because he was scared to shoot it. But what they don't understand is Jordan had the ball in his hands, and he was either going to draw a defense and pass to an open shooter, or he was going to take the shot himself. He was controlling everything. He was quarterbacking the play, whereas LeBron looks afraid. If you look at that play with Steve Kerr, he set that play up, and then he took the smarter basketball play, passed to Steve Kerr, who drilled an easy high percentage shot. Whereas if you look at the end of game 4, which was the deciding game ultimately between Minnesota and LA had to rush a shot and give Austin Reeves a very low percentage shot in the corner, which he bricked and lost. And it's not about Steve Kerr. It's not about Austin Reeves. It's about the superstars setting up the role players to succeed or fail. Michael Jordan set his role players up to succeed. He set Steve Kerr up to succeed, while LeBron James set his role player up, set Austin Reeves up to fail. And that never gets talked about. And that's a big part of it.
Yeah, great point, Gary. And yes, I do agree with that. Like most people, and even people talk about in the same context, like Ron Artest, the shot he made in Game 7 of the Celtics series in 2010 with Kobe. Like, Kobe like drew all the attention and like fed that shot over to Ron Artest. Like, look at like what is, like, to me, the biggest 2 shots of LeBron James's life in his career is the Ray Allen shot in the corner of Game 6 against your Spurs, unfortunately, where that came off of a rebound, I think an offensive rebound by Chris Bosh, who fed that over to Ray Allen. And then the other, by far unequivocally largest shot of LeBron James's life and career was the shot by Kyrie Irving in Game 7 at the Oracle against Golden State in 2016. And like, Kyrie Irving brought that ball up himself and just isolated Steph Curry and went to work and hit that shot. Like, LeBron James didn't factor in any of that. People talk about that game and it's like, oh, well, LeBron made the chase down block. Yeah, with 2 minutes left. Like, 2 minutes left in a game that was tied, that just like held the tie. Like the guy that won that game was definitely Kyrie Irving. But as we know, that one right there made LeBron James the GOAT in his own delusional mind. But welcome back into Vacation Wealth Partners, who is a regular contributor here, very generous benefactor of us on the Skap Live After Dark show that we do here. So Vacation Wealth Partner, welcome in. And what is the question or comment from Vacation Wealth Partners?
I hit my Wolves Knicks parlay, so I'm in a good mood. Skap, tell me, who says no to this deal? Suns get Porter and Denver's 26, 28 first rounders and salary filler. Nuggets get Durant. Vacation, I tell you who says no to this. The Suns. Why the hell would they want to acquire Michael Porter Jr.?
Yeah, I think, look, that's what it's going to be like that. Like I think the Nuggets do want to explore Durant. I've been on the record of saying I don't like that. I've talked about it before in the lounge, but just to confirm again, Kevin Durant ruptured his Achilles at the age of 30 in the 2018-2019 season. Since that season, like 6 years ago, and he was only 30 when that happened, which this does not bode well for Jason Tatum, in my opinion. He missed the entire next season. He then played in only 35 games the year after that, then 55 games the year after that, then 47 games the year after that, then 39 games the year after that, then 8 the year after that, then 75, and now 62. So like the one outlier is the 75 game season. Like you're basically, and he's 37 next year. So like you're essentially saying like, we hope that he can only miss 30 games. Like that would be your hope if you acquire Kevin Durant. Like we hope that maybe he could squeeze 50 in and then hopefully be ready for the playoffs. Like that's what the expectation is for a guy who, again, 37 and will not upgrade your defense at all. So like, I just don't like the fit at all for the Nuggets. I don't think it's smart for the Nuggets to do it. With that said, they want to do it. They're going to explore packages to make it happen. And really, it will center around the Michael Porter Jr. Trade in some capacity. But like, here's the thing. There's going to be a lot better offers on the table for Kevin Durant, even for a 1-year or 2-year rental at 37 and 38. There's going to be a lot better things on the table for the Suns than Michael Porter Jr. And that 26 and 28 first rounders, they're not valuable. Like the 26 would be not next year, but the year after. So like next year is the year that it would be Nikola Jokic and Kevin Durant. Like Jokic wins 50 games with these scrubs. What do you think he would do with even 50 games of Kevin Durant? Like could be 55, 57 wins. Like that's not going to be a high pick at all in the 26. And then Jokic, whoever he has, he's still in his prime, the end of his prime, but still in 28. So that's not going to be a very valuable pick. So I think there's just going to be a lot better picks available, a lot better players available. And I just don't think the Nuggets are going to be able to string anything together for the services of Kevin Durant. But so to answer your question, Vacation Wealth Partners, the Suns would say no to that. If it were me, I would kill that deal though on the floor with Denver and say, you don't want that. There's other better possibilities. We've got Stephanie back in. Stephanie, welcome back to you. Hello, welcome in. Another continued generous sponsor of us here in the lounge, and a regular, whether she's generously sponsoring us or not. I know she's on here every night and is in the live chat area and just in the lounge in general. So Stephanie, many thanks to you. And I think she has a pretty profound, deep question for me to answer, I think. What is it, Gary?
I know this is sensitive, but how was the day Kobe died for you, Scott? I'm asking because it was hard for us. I can only imagine how the news was for you.
Stephanie, it was predictably devastating. I have a small family, a really, really small extended family. Like I have a twin sister, and then my parents, and then really, a couple aunts and uncles, and that's pretty much it. So I've never, honestly, growing up, like I have now that I'm an older man now, like I have been around death and loss. I've had loved ones and people close to me experience like, really just gut wrenching losses in their lives. But really, I had not to that point really experienced any kind of, or in any shape or form, like lost at that level. Like it really felt, I know it sounds ridiculous to say, but it really felt like I lost a close loved one. When that day, when that unfortunate day was upon us, it was just devastating to me. I'm in a fantasy football league for now. I think this is my 11th or 12th year. Really a high stake, ultra competitive fantasy football league, of which I take very seriously. We have like a championships dinner, a banquet, like a championship banquet, like an award ceremony. We have a rules meeting, a rules day where we sit and ratify rules changes. It's crazy. And anyway, that weekend was the fantasy football banquet for me in Atlantic City. So I'd flown into Philadelphia from Florida, and I was actually heading back to the airport to fly back from Philly to Florida, when basically on the drive back, the guys that I was driving with were like, yo, Skap, like, who's with Skap right now? Like, Kobe died. And I honestly just thought it was a bad joke, that it was not true or real at all. And then when I got to Philly International Airport, it was like the longest line I'd ever seen leading into security. So I, at that point, like started looking at my phone, and it kind of started to like become, the situation kind of hit me, and that it was real news. And I was in basically shock through security. Then when I got to my gate, I was early, I was like 2 hours early to my gate. And I started just looking at some of the coverage and everything like that. And like, I was bawling at my gate, like sobbing uncontrollably, like just tears pouring out of my, like not like a single soul isolated little tear, like streaming down my cheek, like ugly crying, sobbing at my gate. And this woman came up to me and like checked on me and wanted to make sure I was okay or whatever. And I mean, I don't even know. I don't remember the flight at all. When I landed in Florida, I took 2 or 3 days off of work because I was just like so devastated and shook by the news. And I still, to this day, Stephanie, I DVR'd a lot of the coverage in the aftermath, like the famous Jordan eulogy where he's like crying uncontrollably, like the different all the different tributes and stuff that were made to Kobe. I DVR, actually, I don't know, because my mom DVR'd a lot of it. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So she had DVR'd a lot of it, and she was saving, we were going to watch it together or whatever. I never to this day have seen any of that stuff. Like I literally just can't stomach to watch it or to like really think about it. And then doing this channel, honestly, I talk about Kobe so much, and I make Kobe content still, like, so I still see Kobe like basically daily. Like I think about Kobe Bryant pretty much every day in my life. So it's like a part of it is like, I kind of even forget that he's not here anymore to some degree. So like even thinking about it now is like, it's just so devastating and gut wrenching on so many levels, just because we lost such an icon and a guy that I talked about on this channel and in this context and this platform of saying that I think that his best days might have still been yet ahead of him. Like I think his second act was maybe even going to be more profound and impactful than what he delivered as an all-time great basketball player. So like we lose that at the age of whatever, 42 or 43, actually maybe 41. I think he might've been only 41 actually. But not only that, his daughter, the other young children that were on the helicopter, and just everybody that was on. I think it was 9 total people that lost their life that day, and just a senseless and tragic, just one of the things that happen in life that reminds you of how precious life is, and how you really do just have to just be thankful and take every day as seriously as you can, live every day to its fullest, honestly, because at any moment it could just be lost. So a really, really hard day, Stephanie. And still, I'm getting like kind of emotional just thinking about it now. I don't know if it's coming across, but yeah, just thinking about it's still really hard. So it's just so weird. Like a guy I never met could be so impactful to me in my life. But I think Kobe touched a lot of people in that way. And, you know, I first saw Kobe play when I was 11 years old, and for basically 20 years of my life essentially revolved around Kobe Bryant. Like he in many ways was like the narrator of my childhood. Because like I hung on every moment, every game, like every storyline of him, like for basically 8 months. I mean, they were always, it seemed like, in finals contention or in the playoffs. Like, so basically that's October to June. It's like 8 months a year, like every other day, basically just like hanging on like the legendary exploits of Kobe Bryant. And then just to lose him at such a tragic way at such a young age, it just is absolutely devastating, Stephanie. But thank you though for your continued support, and thank you for the question. Obviously, I do like to talk about Kobe, even though I get a little emotional still and a little choked up just talking about
most shocking death of my lifetime.
Yeah, I'd say so. I definitely say so. And like I have other heroes or people that I really respect, look up to, or admire. And
Ledger, that was shocking.
But he was the number one, and to have it just happen like so abruptly, and like, I mean, just in such a just a shocking way like that.
Most shocking since John Lennon.
Yeah, it's just a crazy, crazy. Just a crazy day, a crazy week, a crazy whatever. Like I'd say his death still is like resonating and impacting. I think it's still, people still obviously think about it, I think, like I do. And it's a tough pill. It's a tough pill to swallow.
I walked into Dunkin' Donuts the day of, and they had a big screen TV. And from a distance, I read on there, Kobe's daughter, Gigi, passed away in a helicopter. And I was like, oh no. I was like, he's going to be so devastated because he was so close to her. He was training her. I was like, she's probably going to go to UConn in the WNBA. And I said, I feel so bad for Kobe. I said, he must be going, this is the hardest thing he's ever dealt with. And then I noticed they kept showing pictures of Kobe even more than Gigi. I'm like, why are they showing so many photos of, why are they showing more photos of Kobe than Gigi? And then I took a couple steps closer, and then I noticed a comma after Kobe. I thought it said Gigi, Kobe's daughter Gigi died. It said Kobe / Gigi died, and I was wrecked. Like, I sat down. I had been about to order, and the cashier and I started talking. He was devastated. It was the most shocking thing. I remember it was during NFL playoffs, because I went to Dunkin' Donuts to get something, and then I was going to go home and watch the game. And I was just like, I got home and I was just not even in the mood hardly to watch football. It was the most shocking death of my lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, it will be hard pressed for me to, in terms of like a childhood hero or whatever. That, I mean, I don't think that won't likely be surpassed, I don't think, for me. So the whole thing is just so sad and hard to think about even to this day. I usually am just talking about Kobe on the floor and stuff, and remembering what kind of a player he was. But usually around his birthday. His birthday actually is August 23rd. He was born August 23rd, 1978 was his birthday. Was the day he was born. So, and then of course Mamba Day is 8/24 because it's the two numbers that he wore. So usually, and so his birthday is literally the day before. So usually around that time of the year, I will produce some video or do some tribute to Kobe on my channel. And I always I always get like emotional during that. Like most of the time I'm looking at him and like just remembering him favorably and like just being like just remembering what a great player and what a great source of inspiration he was. But like then during that time of the year, whenever it's like around the late August stage, I'm always editing some video of tribute of some sort to him, and I'm like always like crying through half of the tribute just because it reminds me of all the stuff of all of that other stuff. So. But yeah, great question, Stephanie, in general. And thank you very much. We've now got Mark Miguel. Mark, many thanks for you coming in and for sponsoring the live lounge here tonight. Gary, what does Mark have for us?
Skap, did you see the mid-range clinic Brunson put on in Game 2? I couldn't help but miss Kobe's mid-range mastery footwork.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Brunson had a couple. He had one big basket tonight. The basket that preceded the big rebound by Hart that I talked about earlier, and the foul that he got, and then the 2 free throws to put the game away. But the game was essentially, it was tied late, and Brunson just had this great kind of mid-range floater that I really do. I do like the mid-range, because Kobe was such a master of the mid-range. I do look favorably upon guys that are good in the mid-range, especially because it's so rare today. Like it's pretty much like 99% of the league is like, let me jack up 10 threes a game, or just like try to dunk the ball every time. There's like no intermediate range of game. Like no one really controls that area much in today's day and age. But Brunson is one of the few, one of the last holdouts that does still operate from there, from the mid-range. So definitely I always have admiration and appreciation for those players that keep that aspect of the game alive. And yeah, Kobe was as good as anybody ever. Like his footwork was just next level. And while I said Kobe would routinely he would notoriously not help other players or train other players in the off seasons, he would look to steal or add things from other great players' games into his arsenal in the off season. He took Dirk's little one-legged knee out kind of fall away thing. I remember one year kind of built that into his off season approach. And then there was one year where he worked with the great Hakeem Olajuwon. So anyone that knows me or my content knows I think very highly of Hakeem the Dream, and Kobe actually worked with Hakeem because Hakeem's footwork was of course legendary. So Kobe is just such a brilliant mind in general, but of course a brilliant basketball mind. He's a quick learner and a very, very hard worker, as we touched on earlier here. So that, I mean, the guy would just add something new. It seemed like every single summer he'd come back and be better and better and better. So yes, Mark, great point. And yes, Kobe was the master. And it's great to see players. And we talk a lot about Shea, and a lot of people assume I'm a Shea hater because I think that Jokic is the MVP this year. And I try not to take the bait. I don't make videos about it, but I do talk about it on here because it's brought up a lot about Shea's foul baiting and flopping and stuff. But Shea, though, to his credit, is also very, very good in the mid-range. He's one of the few guys that really like to operate and work out of the mid-range too. So just wanted to include him in there. Next in, we've got Xavier DeGod is in, who is an absolute regular here. I see he has peppered us with, we have probably like 4 or 5 Xavier messages coming up here. I might just jump around maybe and find his messages after this one. And then we'll come back to touch on the other stuff because he sent like 4 or 5 messages. So
yeah, one of them we just went into detail about. He asked where were we when Kobe and Gigi passed, and we actually both just touched up on that.
Right. So here's that one. Where were you guys when Kobe and Gigi passed away? Yeah. It's funny actually, not to go further into it, but like the fact that I was in Philly and that's where Kobe was born, in Philly, obviously. Yeah. Then he went to Italy for like 12 years because his dad, Joe Jellybean Bryant, former NBA player, became like a partial owner of an Italian basketball franchise. So Kobe grew up in Italy, but he came back. So he was born in Philly. then he came back to play high school ball in Philly. So like the fact that I was like in Philly that day, I think was kind of, I don't know, just it was odd looking back on it, I think. But let's see what Xavier's first question or comment is. What do we got here?
Why do LeBron fangirls confuse? Why? I'm sorry. Why do LeBron fangirls confuse criticism as hate?
Yeah, like we've been talking about this. It's a weird thing that like and now look, and I admit I go over the top with my criticisms of LeBron James, and I get pretty theatrical with it, and I'm pretty harsh and strong against LeBron. But the thing is, like, I've had him throughout my lifetime, at least as he's maybe once he hit year like 10 or 11. Like I've always had LeBron somewhere around 7 to 11 all time. Like, it's crazy that me saying someone's the 7th to 11th best player or best person to ever do anything is categorized as like me being a hater. It's crazy that that's the case, but it is. So, and the reason that I go so over the top with the way I cover LeBron James or the way I discuss him is because it's just the other way. It's like so many people go too far in the other direction, the other way, including himself. Like this guy himself is running around with Chosen One tattooed on his back, referring to himself as king and calling himself the GOAT. So like, why is it that I'm over the top, or why do I point out his failures even more or accentuate them? Because somebody needs to check this garbage, in my estimation, because LeBron is perpetuating this just pathetic messaging about him, and pretty much all of the mainstream media sycophants have taken it hook, line, and sinker. So I just try to act as like the pushback, the check, if you will, to that. So I don't know, Xavier. It's weird. It's weird that if you don't think a guy is number one, that you're hating on him. I think Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. But with that said, I mean, I could see three other people with a legitimate case. LeBron is not one of them, but I could see like three. I myself could make a case for 4 people I think is the GOAT. Jordan being one of them. Jordan being the one I think is the GOAT. But if you told me one of these other 3 guys that you think they are the GOAT for this reason, like I'm not going to give you much pushback on that. But for some reason, if you don't have LeBron as the GOAT, you're an idiot or you're a hater or whatever. So yeah, it's weird, Xavier. It really is. Let's jump to some other Xaviers here. We talked about where we were when Kobe and Gigi passed. Yep. Let's see. His next one is about the bubble ring. What do we got here from Xavier on this next installation here, Gary?
I count the bubble ring. AD won that for Kobe in LA.
Yeah, I mean the bubble ring again. It's a weird. Just I mean, I did a video on it, like just to look back on it, like that was like the year, like that was in the aftermath. Well, like what a shitty year looking back on 2020. Like COVID shut down like killed obviously tons of people around the world. Kobe, the helicopter crash happened there. Obviously, like the economic global infrastructure kind of collapsed in the midst of that pandemic. Like just what a shitty damn year 2020 was. But so yeah, it is weird though that the Lakers then went on and won the championship that year in that bubble. But again, that the bubble is it's odd. Like you take away the complexity of the travel and all that. And look, the Lakers were a very old team. Like the Lakers, they were good that year. Make no mistake about it. I think they were the 1 seed in the West. So they would have had home court advantage, but still like just sitting in a controlled area, not traveling at all. Like that's different than like traveling and playing every other night games and doing the travel and stuff. Like that was an old team. It had Dwight Howard on it, LeBron, Rondo. Like AD was the youngest guy, but AD is injury prone. Like AD's like barely healthy by the end of the year. So what you had was a 3-month break for all of these old guys on the Lakers to rest, to refresh and to come in basically at the beginning of a season and then not travel at all. Like, I just think it's a flukish title, and it's just one of many lucky things that LeBron had go his way throughout his career to even get to the 4. He's only won 4 in 22 years, and quite frankly, it easily could have been less than that. But yeah, good. That's a good point, Xavier. We've got another one from Xavier. What's this one say from Xavier, Gary?
What if Jordan teamed up with Kobe, Shaq, and Phil in LA?
You know what this is? And I have this idea that I want to do maybe a podcast or something about all-time NBA hypotheticals or what ifs. This is one that is actually not that crazy and not that out of the stretch of the imagination. Like, Jordan said in 98, The Last Dance, if you don't bring Phil back, it's done. I'm not coming back. So they brought him back for one more year. And then it was known basically that 98 year was the last iteration of that team because Phil was out, and then that meant Jordan was going to retire. So, and then the other thing that happened at the end of that 98 season, that championship run, ultimately, Phil was forced out. Then there was a strike-shortened season that year that ensued. So the CBA was up, and there was a work stoppage in the NBA. Jordan actually cut off a tip of his finger in the offseason with a cigar cutter. So all those things kind of conspired to that Jordan did not play. He sat out the whole year in 99, which is when the Spurs beat the Knicks in that season in the NBA Finals. So then the next year, Phil Jackson came out of retirement to play or to coach Kobe and Shaq. What if at that point Phil was like, "Hey, Mike, why don't you come with me? We both sat out 1 year. Why don't you come with me to LA? We've got this star Shaq, but then I've got this young kid, Kobe. You could kind of mentor Kobe in LA." That to me, that wouldn't have been that crazy or that outlandish to see that go down. And then, yeah, think about that. If Michael Jordan played on that first, because if you remember, the Lakers won that first year that Phil went there. So the very first season that Phil took over in 2000, the Lakers won that title and then 3 more in a row. So then Jordan came back after that, in 02, he came back in 01, 02, I think, and then did 02 and 03 and then retired again. But Jordan, quite frankly, could have been on all 3 of those. So Jordan realistically would have had, people say, oh, if he didn't retire, Jordan could have had 9 rings had he done that, which that would have been, that's a crazy NBA hypothetical what if, Xavier, that I'm thinking about maybe, I might do one of these hypothetical, at least a series on my channel maybe someday. And that would be one that I would talk about. Xavier, how many did you send? Xavier sent a lot of, we will get to all of the super chats. I promise you, as always, I will never sign off of one of these things as long as I have any super chats to discuss or to thank you and to talk about. But Xavier has peppered us, like I said, with all these. What is this next one from Xavier?
Do you think the NBA kept Kobe? I guess he meant from winning 6 or more.
For sure. Another hypothetical. The trade was done. It was a done deal. Chris Paul to LA. Chris Paul to the Lakers. And they were going to be trading away, I want to say Pau Gasol and Lamar Odom were out on the way out. I think those were the 2 that were involved. So basically you would have had hopefully Andrew Bynum, who he never really did stay healthy, but hopefully they would have got some health out of Andrew Bynum, who did have 1 single All-Star year and did show some promise early on in his career until the knee thing was his undoing. But basically you would have hoped then, hypothetically moving forward, that when you got rid of Lamar Odom and Pau Gasol, that Andrew Bynum would have had some semblance of health moving forward. Then, look, Chris Paul was very good at that point in time when that trade was consummated. When they the trade, it was a 3-team deal, and it sent Chris Paul ultimately to Los Angeles to pair with Kobe Bryant. The following season, Chris Paul was very good but the following season, he would make the step up to first-team All-NBA. So that next year, it would have been Andrew Bynum, Kobe Bryant, and Chris Paul on a team. And what happened instead was Kobe ruptured his Achilles. The trade was voided. Chris Paul was traded to the Clippers instead of the Lakers. LeBron went on and won his first championship, and Kobe Bryant ruptured his Achilles and his career was ended. So I think had that trade not been voided for whatever damn reason the NBA came up with for voiding that trade, it was bullshit. I don't really curse much on my channel or in the Skap Live lounge area, but I will say this. The voiding of that Chris Paul trade to the Lakers was straight bullshit. And had they not done that, I think, yes, Kobe would have not ruptured his Achilles. Kobe would have become the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, surpassing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because he would have played a healthy, like 3 or 4 more years. And I think, yes, Kobe would have won 6 NBA championships, at least. And by extension, LeBron would not have won that year, so LeBron would have less than 4. So all those things happened thanks to that BS voiding of the trade by the league offices, of which there still is no real concrete reason or explanation as to why or how that happened. Xavier is back in again with another Kobe thing. And we did talk about this, about how Kobe originated from Philly. But go ahead and read that one from Xavier, Gary.
Kobe is the best thing to come out of Philadelphia.
Yep. So there you have it. I'm prone to agree with you. With you, Xavier. I do agree with that one. And I think I have skipped one of Xavier's, Gary. I've skipped one of his super chats, which I think I might just skip that one. Xavier.
I'll just mention it. You don't have to really respond much. It's just an agreement. I don't hate LeBron. I hate his fan base.
Right. Exactly. Right. There's just a choice word slipped in there, but so we won't flash that out. But yes, I agree with you. But see, the thing is, LeBron plays into this, though. Like, LeBron is calling himself the GOAT. LeBron is talking himself up. So he's kind of empowering his fan base to have the mentality or the ideology that they have. Like, some of that is because of LeBron, the messaging from LeBron himself. Okay, we're back up now to bougie former. I don't know. How would we say
those are just letters. Yeah.
Okay. So bougie Formida 4 is in. Thank you, Bougie, for coming in and for supporting me and supporting the lounge here. What is the question or comment here?
Can you rate my list? 1, Jordan, 2, Kobe, 3, Curry. Now, this is really tough, Skap. I need you to just be objective. Are you choosing Kobe or Curry?
Yeah, So Bougie 4. I love your top. I love your first 2. We align on that totally. My top 2 all time are Jordan and Kobe. I can't align with you. I can't match up with you on Curry here. I think Curry is a great all-time player. Look, I think of Curry sort of as the same way I think of LeBron. Curry is not as insufferable as LeBron. He's not obviously tattooing chosen one on himself. We're calling himself the GOAT like LeBron. But I still think Curry, nonetheless, is just a little overrated. These LeBron and Curry they're both probably top 12 to 13 all-time players. So great all-time players. No one's denying that or taking that away. But the fact that, again, you're kind of highlighting the problem here. A lot of people have Curry Mount Rushmore or GOAT conversation. I fear had Curry won a championship this year, many would start speculating that Curry has surpassed Kobe Bryant, which is ridiculous to me. So I respect Steph Curry specifically with the limitation in the physical tool set that he has. He's not very athletic at all. He's small, maybe 6'4", maybe, but I don't even think so. I think closer to 6'3", and not very athletic, not that quick. But he is just such a skilled player. His ball handling is elite, obviously, and we know, of course, what he can do from range and distance on the jump shot. So, and just his, he is a very well-conditioned player. He's one of the most. He's now breaking down physically and getting hurt now in these last couple of years. But this guy is so well-conditioned. Like, he runs you all over the court through like a myriad of dizzying screens and picks and stuff, and and he is just a high leverage player. So I do respect Curry. I do. People think that I hate on Curry because I just don't agree with the consensus of where his all-time rank is. So I cannot co-sign this third all-time with you there. But your first 2, though, Bougie, spot on. And cheers to you for having the Black Mamba up there at number 2. We've talked a lot about Kobe tonight. So Sully is back in now. Sully, what do you got for us this time? Sully is a regular, an avid sponsor here in the lounge. Thank you for your continued generosity and support. And this is the second or third time that Sully is in tonight as well. So Gary, what's this most recent one that he's dropped to us?
Kobe's work is legendary, but Jokic is kind of famous for having the best work-life balance of any NBA player. It's an 8-to-5 job for him. Family man.
I think, look, there is a distinction. I think Jokic actually gets a bad rap though. Like people are always like, oh, well, Jokic just wants to get back to his barn or his farm and get back to his horses in Serbia. And like, oh, he doesn't really even care about winning. That's not true. I think Nikola Jokic is an extreme competitor, I think. And I think he hates losing. I think it really negatively impacts him. I think he takes it really personally, and I think it injures him. Like when I see guys that don't care about winning, that's like LeBron James to me. Like this guy that sits up there laughing in post-game press conferences when they get eliminated. I don't see that. I don't get that sense from Jokic. He looks physically and mentally exhausted and drained whenever they get eliminated from the playoffs. So it's just that he's not jumping from team to team and building super teams and cheating himself and cheating the game to win. So he's doing everything else, though, in his power to bring meaningful championships to his city. And look, Nikola Jokic was the 41st pick in the NBA draft. Like, the guy came from absolute nowhere to be unstoppable. Like, Nikola Jokic is unstoppable. Like, clearly the Thunder limited him a lot with continued triple teams of like 3 top 15 league-wide defenders. So congratulations. Throwing perpetual triple teams by 3 top 15 league-wide defenders, you were able to limit him to 28 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists on 48% shooting. Like, the guy is unstoppable, and you don't become unstoppable and a fringe top 10 all-time player as the 41st overall pick, having the limited physical set of tools that guy has by not being an intense workaholic on the court. This guy, and he keeps getting better. Like, this year in his age 30, he still comes back even better this season than he was last. So I think Jokic gets a bad rap in terms of the fact that like he doesn't care or he doesn't work as hard. Like, that ain't true. But to your point with Kobe, it is true that guy had a lousy work-life balance for a lot of his career, which is another thing that was so sad that he died at such a young age, because he was really taking steps to atone for that later on throughout the end of his career and then into his after basketball life. Like, Kobe became a great husband and a great father, and he was getting to do the things that he did neglect early on in his life and early on in his stage, I think, as a father, because he was just so singularly driven and obsessed. Same with Michael Jordan. My favorite part of the Last Dance docuseries with Michael Jordan was the fact that he was absolutely devastated when his father died in real time. Of course he was. Like, he was so close with his dad, and his dad was murdered shockingly. So when he came back after he retired, obviously in the aftermath of his father's passing, when he came back, he won his 4th championship on Father's Day. And there's this iconic shot of him weeping into like the floor. He's like hugging the ball, like face down on the ground in the locker room, just weeping. Right. Because of like, he's obviously the emotions of his thinking of his dad and like winning on that day and everything like that. But he talked about the death of his father in The Last Dance matter-of-factly. Like it, and of course, as the saying goes, time heals all wounds. So like he really didn't get like too broken up about talking about it, recounting it, and the moments and stuff in the aftermath of it in The Last Dance. The one time that Jordan broke down and like got emotional was when he was talking about the burden the sacrifice of being great, of being like a leader, the fact that like you can't be the best teammate at all times, like, you can't be friends with people, you can't be a great father or a great husband at all times, like that, like talking about that and the sacrifices he had to make in his life to reach, to attain that level of excellence and greatness. That is what I take away from Kobe Bryant too. It is a burden, and it isn't, you're not that well adjusted of a human being. Like maybe it is better to just be LeBron James and to laugh off playoff losses and just say, hey, I'm rich and I'm a celebrity and I'm famous. Who cares if I lose every year? I'm still a winner. Like maybe that loser mentality actually is like being a better, more well-rounded person. But that's why LeBron ain't getting to those levels of Kobe, in my estimation, and Jordan, because those guys had that tenacity of mindset, that singular focus to dial in and like just do everything it takes, make every sacrifice. It isn't easy to be great at anything, not just basketball, to be great at anything. Like you do have to make sacrifices. And Kobe Bryant, no doubt, was a living, breathing example of that. But still, though, Sully, I think Jokic gets a bad rap sometimes because I think he takes this really, really seriously. He takes losing really, really seriously. He hates it, and he works his ass off in the offseason. You don't get the tools that guy has. You don't become truly unstoppable with like a 12-inch vertical leap by just resting on your laurels and hanging out at horse races in the offseason. We've got RG Cal, who is a regular here as well. Welcome back in, RG Cal. What do we got here from RG tonight, Gare?
I'm going to read this and then just skip down to the next one because it's basically the exact same thing. It says, okay, T-Mac was almost drafted with Kobe and played with Shaq. Now go down to the next one. Jerry West almost drafted T-Mac after drafting Kobe. I didn't even know that. Who did they draft in place of T-Mac?
I don't know. We'll have to check on that. That could be another hypothetical added to the list of my what ifs, my this thing that I'm talking about that I want to discuss. Tracy McGrady was a beast and an absolute stud. When unfortunately for him, he is himself a what if and a hypothetical. I did do a video on him about 9 or 10 months ago, probably. About the greatest what if in NBA history. And I say that I think that, yes, there are other guys you can put in the mix with him, like Penny Hardaway is one that readily comes up, Grant Hill, Bill Walton. But to me, if you look at like Tracy McGrady's prime, like 4 years, he really only was like primed and healthy for like 4 years. But in those 4 years, he was unbelievable. Like he wasn't the defender that Kobe was, or like he didn't have like the leadership or like the killer will, I don't think, that Kobe, like Kobe, he just didn't have the intangibles necessarily that Kobe had. But in terms of tools and physical, like, and his offensive abilities, like he was the equal of Kobe. Like I've been saying, Kobe, Jordan, and Wilt are the 3 best offensive players ever. Like T-Mac in his prime 4 years was the equal to Kobe. And he had like 1 or 2 years that were like unbelievable, where he was like first in the NBA in PER, BPM, VORP, led the league in scoring at like 32 points per game in like a 95 point per game NBA nightly year. So like he was crazy good. And he was probably 3 inches taller than Kobe, like longer wingspan than Kobe. Like it was nuts what Tracy McGrady was. Like he was like absolutely the offensive equal. Go ahead up, little girl. Sorry, little Luna needs lifted up into the bed. So it was, if you're telling me, like, imagine a world where Kobe and T-Mac played together with Shaq, and even I think once Shaq left, probably that pairing or brotherhood, if you will, between T-Mac and Kobe would have continued on because they have a lifelong relationship. T-Mac and Kobe used to live with each other in the summers when they were at ABCD camps growing up in like high school range aged. So like T-Mac, in fact, in the aftermath of Kobe's passing, which I talked about, the gut-wrenching coverage of that in the aftermath a couple of days after the passing of Kobe, like McGrady was one that I saw that was just like absolutely distraught, beside himself. So like these two guys were like friends off of the court before the NBA. So I think they might have had a long pairing. Hell, that could have been like Jordan Pippen 2.0 had T-Mac and Kobe found their way to
this. The Lakers didn't even have a pick. I'm not. He needs to verify this because it's funny that if that was the case, if the Lakers could have drafted him but didn't, we probably would have heard about that. We've never heard about this. I'm looking at the draft now.
Now Tracy McGrady also he wasn't that high of a pick, right?
Well, he was number 9, but I'm saying the Lakers weren't even close. They didn't have a pick in the top 8, and I'm not even seeing anything close. So I'm trying to figure out how would Jerry West have maneuvered that. So their 21st pick went to the Jersey and was traded from the Lakers. So the Lakers traded their 21st pick to the Nets, who drafted Anthony Parker, who is nothing. I'm looking down here. It doesn't even look so far like the Lakers even had a first-round pick that year.
You know, Gary, it's interesting. I didn't think he was that high of a pick. I would not guess he was the 9th overall pick because he wasn't that good like early on. And he was young. He was 18 years old in his rookie year. So he was very, very young when he came out, obviously. And he only averaged 7 points per game his first year, 9 points per game.
2000.
So kind of a Kobe-like trajectory, right? Like Kobe barely played his first year, didn't score a lot. Same with his second year. Like this is almost a Kobe arc entirely. Like 7 points per game his first year, 9 points per game his second year, 15. Then his big jump at the age of 21 in 2000, 2001, which is right when Kobe was making his ascension kind of. So like they were really on the same tier kind of. And then that age basically in Orlando, the 4 years he spent in Orlando, 21 to 24. So really not even in his prime yet. He was insane. Like these 2 years, he led the league in scoring in back-to-back years, including 32 points per game. And that year that he scored 32 points per game, led the NBA in scoring, 32 points per game, 7 rebounds, 5.5 assists a game, all NBA first team, and 4th in the MVP voting that season. Like he was like one of the best players in the NBA, if not like, I'd say he was maybe like top 3 for that quick span of time. And he wasn't even prime yet. Like I look at prime personally, age 25 to 30, that was in his age like 22, 23 seasons. So that like just Tracy McGrady in general is like a huge what if all time in my estimation. And really a sad career for him. Like he never made it out of the first round ever. Until the Spurs run where he just was on the bench and like didn't even play when the Spurs lost the championship. I think the year they lost to the Heat. So like that was just like a sad career for him. But RGN Cal, thank you though for the super chats. We already read the Xavier one. We've got Vacation Wealth Partners back in. Vacation Wealth Partners, thank you very much. And he's got a Kobe point to be made here.
Kobe averaged 27.8 for the 14 years he was healthy and wasn't benched by Dale Harris. But wasn't Eddie Jones starting then? And Eddie Jones was really good.
So they had Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones.
Yeah.
But clearly Kobe was good enough to be a 20. Like, look. Kobe came into the league and was shooting. He got to shoot 6 times a game for his first year. He got to shoot 12 times a game his second year and 15 times a game in his third season. In those 3 years, though, Gary, whenever he got to attempt 20 shots or more in a game, whenever he got to attempt 18 shots or more, he was averaging like 24 points per game. So like, if he had the arrangement that LeBron had, or the arrangement that Michael Jordan had, if Kobe Bryant didn't get drafted, and again, this is another what-if hypothetical. If Kobe didn't get traded from Charlotte and got to go into the Hornets as an 18-year-old and just shoot 20 times a game like LeBron, like Kevin Durant, he would have scored 20 points per game as a rookie. So it was unfortunate, yes. Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones were both established. They were both all-star guards at that point. So he did not really get to play those first 2 seasons. But like his third season, he jumped to all-NBA third team and scored 20 points per game when he became a starter. So at just the age of 20. So yeah, if you look at that first season to Vacation Wealth Partner, that was his age 20 season in 98-99 when he started every game, played every game, and started every game. And if you go all the way to his age 34 season, which was 2012-2013, that is a 14-year span of time in which he played in 1,089 games, and he was a 27.5 point per game scorer. And to put that 1,089 games in perspective, like, that's not a small sample size. So to say like, oh, well, you're cherry picking, or you're just picking favorable thing, like 14 seasons and 1,089 games is no small sample size. To bear that point out, Michael Jordan in his entire career, in every iteration of it, so like in Chicago and Washington included, he played in 1,079 games. So Kobe, I'm sorry, 1,072. So Kobe, in that 14-year span, played in more games than Michael Jordan did in his entire career. How about Larry Bird, you might be wondering? In Larry Bird's entire career, he played in 897 games. How about Magic Johnson? In Magic Johnson's entire career, he played in 906. So like if we look at Kobe when he wasn't riding the bench as a rookie in his second year because he just didn't get the opportunities, and if you take away the 3 ridiculous injury-affected years after the Achilles rupture when he never got back, was totally depreciated, and you just look at his 14-year prime of nearly 1,100 games, if you take that, 27.5 points per game, Kobe would have jumped. He would jump all the way up. He would be the 4th leading scorer in NBA history in terms of points per game average, behind only Jordan, Chamberlain, and Luka. And Kobe did all of that in the dead ball era of the NBA, where like all these other guys, Wilt, scoring was 118 points per game when Wilt was doing it. Through half of Michael Jordan's career, it was 110 points per game. For Luka's entire career, it's like 112 to 115 points per game. In Kobe's entire 14 years in that span, in that 1,011 games, average NBA scoring was like 96 a night. So Kobe amassed that average that rivals those guys in a significantly harder and lower scoring and slower paced NBA. So that, Vacation Wealth Partners, to your point, is why I think you absolutely can make a case that Kobe Bryant is the greatest scorer in NBA history. So great point by you. Many thanks for bringing it up. I have talked about that myself in videos along the way, but always happy to talk about Kobe. And we've got more Kobe coming in here from Shay is in. So we've ignited something on the Kobe conversation tonight. Shay, welcome into you. What does Shay have for us here on Kobe, Gary?
Kobe was one of the most intelligent athletes ever.
Fact. Like when you see these guys that you can tell like really aren't blazing any trails in the IQ department. And I'm just talking about all sports. Kobe was just so ultra intelligent, just so polished, and not just in terms of straight intelligence, but just life experiences and just in being an introspective thinker. And he was obviously, I think he was fluent in like 5 or 6 languages. Kobe was just truly, he did just have the whole package, which is why I think his second act was going to be even more impactful than his first act. Great point, Shay, from you. And many thanks, Shay, for supporting us here and sponsoring us in the lounge.
He would trash talk Ginobili in Italian.
Correct. And also it was funny. When Luka was just freshly in the league, he was like a younger player, but still he was like an elite first team all NBA caliber player. And Luka was like, heard someone talking shit on him in Slovenian, and he turned around and it was Kobe, you know? So I mean, Kobe just did those things. He was just such a clever and such an intelligent guy and such a polished, smooth person overall. And just such a great ambassador for the sport. So great point again, Shay, and many thanks to you for sponsoring us here. We've got Rob Temsin next, who, oh, Gary, moderator Gary, this looks like it might be one for you. What do we got?
Skap and Mod Gary in a hypothetical 1-on-1 who wins. MVP David Robinson or MVP Tim Duncan? You know, it's always hard to quantify one-on-one because one-on-one is so much different than being in a team game. And Robinson and especially Duncan were both really good team players. So it's kind of hard to say. I think if they played multiple times, it'd probably go either one. Like Tim would win one time, David would win another time, probably go back and forth.
I think Tim Duncan is obviously, I have Tim Duncan on my Mount Rushmore. David Robinson, I think, is more like, I don't know, somewhere around 15 to 20. But I think in terms of just a one-on-one with David Robinson, like in his physical peak, and that guy was a mutant. Like he was just a beast, like physically, like he was just cut up. Like David Robinson looked like he was like chiseled out of granite or like some kind of a, like off a page of a comic book or something, like just an absolute cartoonish physique. And athleticism for his size. Like, I think quite frankly, maybe like David Robinson, and he was a great defender too. I mean, not quite Tim Duncan defense range, but like great defender too. I think honestly, I might favor David Robinson in a hypothetical one-on-one, but Tim Duncan though was obviously just a better like team player, I think, and just a better winner, a better leader. So I of course give Tim Duncan the check mark from a historical standpoint, but great question, great hypothetical.
Yeah, Duncan's a better player, but I could see David winning one-on-one.
Yeah, exactly right. But thank you. Great question. And thank you for sponsoring us. Will N is back in. Will N, what does Will N have for us, Gary?
Definitely. Yes, Will. Do you think Gigi would count as a possible WNBA what-if story considering her potential? Yes. And I think she could potentially rival Caitlin Clark with her dad's mentorship. Agreed.
She was already on that trajectory. She had obviously the genetics. She had the mindset. She had the right person tutoring and mentoring her. So I think for sure she would have been a special talent in the WNBA. There's no doubt about that.
She wanted to go to UConn, didn't she?
Yep.
That would have been, and she'd be there right now or going next year.
I think so. Yeah. If you extrapolate it out, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I hate missing that.
So. That just a tough day, a tough loss all the way around. We do have Shea back in though. Shea in again. What do we have from Shea this time, Gary?
What if Jordan had entered the 85 draft? He seriously wanted to return to UNC before Dean Smith influenced him to enter the 84 draft. Number 2, Jordan to Indiana.
Let's see the 85. I just want to check out the 85 draft. Obviously, we know the 84. I think to me the 3 greatest drafts of all time, in no specific order, though I probably would say 84 is the best draft ever. It had Hakeem at 1, Jordan at 3, and then Barkley was 5. And then where was Stockton was 16. Yeah, Stockton was 16. So like all 4 of those guys in the top 16, Hakeem, Jordan, Barkley in the top 5. Then I would say, look, we all know how I feel about LeBron, but the 04 draft for LeBron is in the mix of the top 3 drafts ever. It was LeBron, Wade, Carmelo, and Bosh in the top 5 of that draft. And then Kobe's draft, the 96 draft, which was Kobe, Allen Iverson, Steve Nash, and Ray Allen all came out of that draft. So those to me are the 3 greatest drafts ever. But so Shea here is speculating, what if Jordan didn't come out in that 84? The 85 draft, Patrick Ewing was the number 1 pick that year. You know, I think I gotta agree with Shea. Had Jordan hypothetically returned to college for that year and come out, Jordan was not the number 1 pick, obviously, in 84. That was Hakeem. Then another big, Sam Bowie, was the number 2 pick. Obviously, that's regarded as one of the biggest busts ever in NBA history when you consider what Sam Bowie did in his career compared to what Michael Jordan became. But I still think the NBA still to that point was mainly all about bigs. Like bigs dominated the history of the NBA. And I think Patrick Ewing was an iconic, legendary, elite all-time college player. So I still do believe to Shay's point, that Patrick Ewing would have been the number 1 overall pick in 85, which even if Jordan came back to UNC that 84 year and had a great year, still Ewing would have been 1, which meant that, yes, Jordan would have been the number 2 overall pick in 85 to Indiana. So that's another, I'd have to look into that could maybe be a hypothetical what if, Shay. So thank you for providing me that potential what if. I really can't go much deeper than that beyond like, what would it have meant for Indiana? What it likely would have meant was Indiana would have 5 or 6 championships now, and Chicago would have like none. So that's the what if on that end of that scenario. We next have Stephanie back in from a while ago. So hopefully Stephanie might still be watching. Well, actually only 10 minutes ago. I'm not that far behind anymore. I've caught up on these. So what do we have? Stephanie's follow-up. She, of course, asked the question, which got me a little teary-eyed earlier in the lounge here. Not an emotion I thought I would ever be showing on the lounge here or on YouTube in general. But what's Stephanie's follow-up, Gary, for us?
Thank you for answering, Skap. I almost cried listening to you as well. Rest in peace to all 9 aboard that helicopter. Most shocking death of my lifetime, too. I threw my phone in shock.
Yeah, my pleasure, Stephanie. I'm glad. Thank you, of course, for your continued following here and support of me, and it definitely does mean a lot to me, for you and for the other regulars that are here all the time in the lounge. I think we've had anywhere between, I think we've maxed out in our peak lounge time at around 1,200 here, but I think pretty much I can count on like 250 people in here no matter what. It's 1:30 a.m. We've been doing this now for two and a half hours on a Sunday night, and still 250 people here. So I think there's a core grouping of people that I can always count on, Stephanie, you being one of them. So thank you, and thank you for your support of Kobe. It definitely, yeah, one of the honestly one of the worst days of my life, quite frankly. Which sounds, like I said, like it sounds ridiculous to say, and like when I was talking about it in the moment and when it happened, and like discussing it with friends and people at work or whatever, like it sounds crazy to say, like, felt like I lost like a close family member that day, but that's what it felt like. Like it felt like someone that was just so impactful for me in my life, my whole life, basically. I don't want to get into how old I am, but old. And I was 11 years old when Kobe Bryant entered the NBA. So, it still is just something that I think resonates with me and likely always will. But thank you, Stephanie. Will N is back in again. Again, just a lot of you usuals. Thank you so much for your continued support of me. What does Will N have for us, Gary?
To add to the previous Jerry West statement, Paul Pierce, in an interview, once stated that Jerry West tried to recruit him also pre-1998 draft.
Jerry West was like, he's one of the greatest, honestly. Like, first of all, Jerry West, for those of you who don't know, if there's any youngins in the lounge that might not have that strong of a grasp on NBA history, Jerry West is the logo of the NBA. His nickname, his moniker, was Mr. Clutch. He's an all-time great player back for the Lakers in the heyday in the 60s and then into the early 70s. And he passed away actually recently, I think about a year ago now. He was also one of these people who was devastated when Kobe passed away. Kobe became estranged from his father, Joe Jellybean Bryant, former NBA player that I talked about earlier. Kobe became estranged from him at a young age, and Jerry West kind of became like a father figure to Kobe Bryant. So he took Kobe's passing extraordinarily hard. But Jerry West also had such an amazing eye for talent. He was such a great architect. So not only a great player, but one of the all-time legend architects and team builders and talent evaluators. So none of these things surprise me, but he will have that Kobe Bryant, I've seen the interview multiple times of him talk about Kobe Bryant's workout. Kobe was supposed to go much higher in the draft. He was, supposed to be a top 10 pick. And, or maybe not top 10. I think he ultimately ended up being 14, I want to say, to Charlotte. But so he was going to get picked before the Lakers. So the Lakers picked that year in the 20s. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up just to confirm for sure. The Lakers were not going to have an opportunity to draft Kobe Bryant because while Kobe wasn't, Allen Iverson was the number 1 pick that year. But Kobe ended up going, let me just confirm, 13th to Charlotte. So while Kobe wasn't like the first or second pick, he was generally regarded as a lottery pick, a lottery caliber talent. So like the Lakers that year did not draft till 24. So there was basically no chance the Lakers were ever going to be able to acquire Kobe Bryant. But for whatever reason, Jerry West worked him out. And he pulled down, I forget which player it was, one of the players from the 80s Lakers who at the time was like in his late 30s. And he was a perennial kind of all defensive caliber player or fringe all NBA defensive caliber player. Let me just confirm exactly who I'm thinking of. So I want to say it was, sorry guys, this is story time with Skap now that we've turned into here. I want to say it was maybe Michael Thompson, possibly. No, that doesn't sound right. Anyway, there was somebody in the building, or was it possibly Michael Cooper? Maybe it was Michael. I think it might have been Michael Cooper, actually. Who, yes, I'm looking at Michael Cooper as a perennial all defense, second team, first team. It looks like he made, I don't know, 7 or 8 all NBA defensive teams. And he was born in 1956. So in 96, do the math. I guess he was about 40. When Kobe, so a former perennial all-NBA defensive caliber player, was in the building working for the Lakers at that point. Jerry West pulled him down from the front office to work out Kobe Bryant, 17-year-old Kobe Bryant. And Jerry West said that Kobe destroyed him in this workout. And that it was still, when Jerry West told the story years later, he said that it was still to that day the greatest workout he had ever seen in his life. And he went to Jerry Buss, the owner of the team at the time, and said, yo, we have to do whatever it takes to get this kid. Like, we have to have him. We have to. So that was what perpetuated the trade, ultimately, that sent Vlade Divac from the Lakers to Charlotte for the rights of Kobe Bryant. And the rest, as they say, is history. But there's just a little background on the great Jerry West and his eye for talent. We've got Bougie back in. Bougie with a follow-up question. Bougie, who says, again, huge fan. Gary, his question before was, I believe, for me to rank his top 3, which was in order Jordan, Kobe, and Curry. So I talked about that. So he's got a follow-up question. What is it, Gary?
Yeah, I've looked over the chat, glanced over it, and he's just very impressed with what Curry has accomplished at his lack of height compared to
for sure
bigger guys. So he says, huge fan, by the way. Who's better, LeBron or Curry?
You know, I think this is close, and I've come around on this to some degree in recent years. I used to be of the opinion that it's LeBron, but now, like, the more I look at it, the more I think about it and marinate on it, like, Curry actually at least won 2, like, I don't really respect the Kevin Durant rings, but to me, I don't respect any 4 of LeBron's rings. So, like, Curry at least has 2 very legitimate rings in the 2014 ring and the 2022 ring. And not only does he have 2 viable rings, but he has 4 total, which is the same as LeBron. And then he beat LeBron 3 times head-to-head in the NBA Finals. So, like, when I add all of these things up, I actually am coming around to the point where now at this stage, I think you can make a viable case maybe that Curry is above LeBron James. I might be shifting over to that actual line of thought in terms of that ideology. So good follow-up question, Bougie. And again, thank you very much for your continued support here in the lounge. I do appreciate that. Next in, we've got Keiko, which is actually I don't really recognize now. Keiko very well could be in the lounge, be a regular in the lounge, but I've not seen it them sponsor us yet in the lounge. I do not think so. Many thanks to Keiko, who is a new sponsor here into to the Skap Live After Dark Lounge. What does Keiko have for us, Gary?
Call me crazy, but I'd rather have Curry over Braun.
Yeah, I will call you crazy because Bougie just came in literally with the same pretty much question right above. So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think Kayako, I'm with you and with Bougie at this point. I think
let me add something.
Go ahead.
Let me add something that kind of flipped this a little bit. And I
Actually,
love
Gary,
Curry.
I am going to turn it over to you for 1 second. I will be right back. Give me like 20 seconds. I will be listening. I will be listening to you as you speak. So Gary, go ahead. Guys in the lounge, I will be right back.
All right. Okay, this is the thing. First of all, if anybody knows me, I love Curry. I can't stand LeBron. But here's the one taint on Curry's resume was that year after Durant left and Klay Thompson was recovering from that injury. The Warriors were horrible. So this pains me to say it, but Curry is not nearly as effective and dominant the way LeBron is, because I believe had you put LeBron on that Warriors team in place of Steph Curry, I don't think they're going to be way under 500. They're not going to be a championship team. But if we think about it, since LeBron's coming to his own, there's never been a LeBron-led team that's been under 500. Like, he's not going to miss the playoffs. Even in that weak, anemic East, he's not going to miss the playoffs, even if he's not going to win a championship. And Steph Curry, the Warriors are horrible with just him and Draymond. So my point is, if you put LeBron on that Warriors team in place of Curry, they may even make the playoffs. They're not going to make a deep run, but they're not going to be under 500, I don't think. And what LeBron did in 2007 with that very thin roster was amazing. And I don't know if Curry would have done that.
Yeah, I'll say this. I did listen to everything you said, Gary. I just had to step away briefly here. But I did hear your entire and thank you, by the way, for doing that while I stepped away, because more super chats continued to come in. I was like, can I make it, guys, in all candor? I just had to go to the restroom. I mean, we've been on here for 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Right.
I've been drinking a lot of liquids today, so I just needed to take a little bathroom break here. And Gary, thank you that was my first bathroom break in the lounge. So thank you, Gary, for covering my back there. But I did hear. I think LeBron. I think a good way to put it is like LeBron is a great floor riser. Like I won't argue the fact that he isn't. He is. I say that Nikola Jokic, I talk often about Nikola Jokic being, to me, the greatest floor riser in NBA history. But LeBron is too. Like, you can put subpar talent around LeBron and he'll make the playoffs and maybe even win you a series. But for whatever reason, LeBron's not like an elite finisher or a clutch winner or like a great leader, I don't think. Like, all the things that Nikola Jokic proved that he was when he won a championship, LeBron still hasn't done. And I think while LeBron probably in a vacuum of, like, you put LeBron on a crappy team and you put Steph Curry on a crappy team, LeBron's crappy team is going to be better. They're going to win more games. They're going to perform better in the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. But Steph Curry finds a way, though, with either good pieces around him or great pieces to make it work better than LeBron. Like, I think you're giving me the thumbs up of agreement. Like, I think like, so like, while LeBron probably would have fared better in some of these years with Golden State in the playoffs, like, I don't think LeBron would have done that well with the Kevin Durant team, because like Steph Curry he was the glue that made that work. Like while Kevin Durant might have looked like the best player in instances there, and he led the Warriors in scoring or whatever, and he got the last shot a lot of the times. But like Steph Curry, like, if you look at the plus minuses and the on-offs of it all, and like when Curry missed games with that team versus when Durant, like, Curry was actually more valuable, even though Durant was maybe the better player. Like, it was kind of like, Kobe with the early 2000 Lakers. Like Shaq gets all the credit and like got the MVPs, but like Kobe was kind of the more valuable player because he was the closer. He was the best defensive player on the team. Like, so I kind of look at that in that sense. So I think you can make a case either way. Honestly, it is close. The LeBron Curry conversation and discourse, I could see it either way. I think I'm kind of turning. I think I'm shifting gears kind of in it myself though. Like I think even when Curry won his like 4th ring, I was still like pretty adamant on like LeBron's above Curry. But now as I kind of unpack it more in hindsight and look back on it, I think there is a legitimate viable case to be made for Curry in that regard.
LeBron leading a team would be better, but if you put the right complementary players around Curry or LeBron, Curry will be more successful and also is more clutch at the end. He has that assassin's mentality, whereas LeBron shrinks under pressure. Curry rises up under pressure.
Right. So great question from you guys. Obviously, Kayako as well as Bougie 4. And now I've mentioned Skap's Extra Strong Cologne earlier. I did mention Skap's Extra Strong Cologne already. I don't know if you heard about my burgeoning underwear line potential, but we were talking about maybe creating an underwear line for me called simply which would be like AHZ or something like that. So get on it. Now who do we have? What do we have though? I'm trying to read ahead, but Gary, go ahead. I don't want to spoil it for myself. Gary, go ahead and read what Skap's Extra Strong Cologne is in for.
Who would y'all have for the all 2020s team at this point? I would have Jokic, Giannis, SGA, Luka, and Ja Morant as of now. Also, I just made a slight update to my avatar. How do you like it? And by the way, some shout out to the chat yesterday. Someone said you look like Apollo Creed in that photo. I agree.
You know what? We said Uncle Sam, but here's the thing, guys. Apollo Creed was dressed like Uncle Sam. In that right. You guys are obviously referencing Rocky 4 when right. He comes out on the float with who's the entertainer that's singing
James Brown.
Yes, James Brown's like on the podium and Apollo's dancing around and he's pointing it around with he's got the boxing gloves on. He's dressed as Uncle Sam in that. So that of course, Apollo then goes on to fight Drago and he dies in the ring, which is the beginning of, to me, while Rocky 1, I talk about it all the time. I'm a big movie buff. I love sports, but I also love movies just as much. While Rocky 1 is the best one of the franchise, I don't think anyone could argue that. It won the Academy Award, and Sly won an Academy Award for Best Screenplay for it. So Rocky 1 is the best movie, but for my money, 4 is my favorite. Like, to me, I mean, the soundtrack in 4 is next level. I mean, like 2 crazy montages in 4, including No Easy Way Out, which is, to me, maybe arguably one of the greatest workout songs ever composed. So anyway, Gary, can you zoom in? I'm on a laptop. Can you zoom in and tell me what the update is? I'm trying to see.
It says Skap Stenches. I don't know what's up with that.
Well, Gary, if you remember yesterday, it was the same avatar, but he had Sex Panther.
Exactly. Now he changed it to Skap Stenches. I like Sex Panther better.
Well, but he was kind of stealing from Anchorman, so now this is like our own signature line.
But Stenches there's a bad connotation to that. You don't want that stigma attached to your name brand here. We got to come up with something more complimentary there, Skap's Extra Cologne.
I like it, Skap's Extra Strong Cologne. I like you're thinking outside of the box. You're out here working. You can still fine tune it, obviously, but I like you're on the right path for sure. As for the all 2020 team, that's an interesting question.
Well, first of all, I'm taking Anthony Edwards over Ja Morant. I'm not having Ja Morant on my all 2020 team. That dude's an embarrassment and an underachiever.
Yeah, you know what? I think I definitely unequivocally will the Jokic and Giannis for sure.
Right. Yes.
Like those two are so obvious. And they are the 2 best players of the 2020s. I think I then, quite frankly, though, look, Luka Doncic was drafted in 2018, 2019. Then starting in 2019, 2020, he's been first team All NBA every year, except for this year, which is the year that he was hurt. And he still put down crazy numbers, even despite the fact he was hurt. If he played 65 games, he likely would have been All NBA first team for a 6th straight season. So I think I've got to go with Luka Doncic in my All NBA or my All 2020 team, because not only that, he's been to 2 Western Conference Finals. He's has the second highest scoring playoff average in NBA history. And he went to an NBA Finals, and he beat 3 50-win teams on the way to the NBA Finals, and he played a 64-win historically great Celtics team in the finals and lost. So he actually became one of he was the 5th team ever to play 4 50-win teams in a single playoff run. He also, in that playoff run, joins Nikola Jokic from 2023, the only 2 players ever in league history to lead an entire postseason in points, assists, and rebounds. So to me, Luka Doncic is on the All-NBA 2020 team, first team, whatever you want to say. Then look, Jason Tatum is going to just go on my All 2020 team as well. Jason Tatum in the 2020s, starting with that 2020 year and going through this season, he was All NBA first team 4 times, and he was All NBA third team once. He's been an All-Star every year. He's been top 6 in MVP 4 of those years, and he's won a championship in there. You know, make whatever commentary you want to about Jason Tatum in the clutch and about, you know, he didn't win the Finals MVP or the Eastern Conference MVP. His body of work in the 2020s is still indicative of All NBA 2020 to me. So I'd say those 4, quite frankly, Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, and Luka are like no-brainers. I don't know for the fifth guy. I don't know. Like, I'd have to kind of
SGA, Anthony Edwards.
I mean,
I don't think Ja Morant, though. He's got Ja Morant. He's not making mine.
I would say Shea might be on the cusp. I mean, he wasn't that good, though, in the early portion. Like, Shea's really come on substantially in really just the last 3 seasons. Like, he wasn't an all-star at all. So, like, 2020, 2021, 2022, like, he wasn't even an all-star. So, like, then the last 3 years, obviously, he's been All-NBA first team, and he won the MVP this year. But, like, is that enough? Because, look, I think so little of Joel Embiid. Like, let's make no qualms about how little I respect Joel Embiid overall. But, like, his body of work in the 2020s may well be better than Shea's. Now, if Shea wins the championship,
though, we've already got a center and a power forward, so now we have to play this by position, right? Not just the 5 best, but the. Now, is this the 5 best, or are we going position by position?
Right. That's the thing, because the All NBA team now is not positional. It's just the 5 best players.
Well,
so, like, I don't know.
Probably be in the top 5 then, if we're not going by position.
Right. So it's like, I don't know. This is a tough question, honestly. I think maybe even, I mean, for real, like, Steph Curry might still be in the conversation for this. Like, he won a championship in 2022.
Yep.
Like, he's been All NBA at pretty much every year. So I feel like maybe Steph Curry would be.
Anthony Davis is somewhere on there.
Yeah. Sure. So great question, Skap's Extra Strong Cologne. Strong question from you. And I appreciate your continued support here. Rob Thames is back in again with a follow-up, I think. What is the question there?
This is an interesting one. Not sure if I agree with this, but let's see. I believe if Shaq can never left Orlando, then Penny never gets hurt. Well, that's kind of hard to speculate. And the Bulls never get their 3rd three-peat. I still think the Bulls get their 3-peat. I don't think the Magic would have stood in their way.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs there. I mean, if Penny had never gotten hurt, like he definitely did get hurt. But still, I've said a couple hypotheticals where if, like, obviously the Chris Paul thing with Kobe, I'm speculating maybe Bynum holds up. But who knows if that happens. With that said, the Orlando Magic, everybody. I just want to get the Magic. I'm almost certain won 60 games the year that Jordan was fully back, and they won 72 that year. So that was again, this is a walk down Skap's history lane. If you remember, Jordan did come back at the tail end of the 90. I guess it would have been 94-95 season. Jordan came back at the tail end for like 17 games, went into the playoffs after 17 regular season games as a tune-up, and then they lost to the Orlando Magic, actually. They were eliminated, I believe, in 6 games, and Penny kind of neutralized Jordan there. And then the Magic went on then and lost badly. They got swept by Houston. So the Bulls did actually lose to Orlando with Michael Jordan. But then the following year, when Jordan was fully back, when he had a full offseason, a full season, blah, 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 was fully conditioned and ready, the Magic were the best they ever had been. They won in 95-96, the famous 72-10 Chicago Bulls season. The Magic were like a great team that year. They won 60 games that year. The Supersonics won 64, but the Magic were about as good as they were going to be, I think, at that point. And the Jordan Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals met them and just undressed them. It was a 4-game sweep. And listen to the scores of these games in this 4-game sweeping by the Bulls. Okay, game 2 was close, 93-88. Game 4 was close, 106-101. They beat them in game 1, 121-83. And then listen to this score in game 3, 86-67 was the final score in that game. So just a robust margin of differential. There's no doubt that had Penny not gotten hurt and Shaq had a chance to prime up, that they would have been more of a viable threat or contender, impediment, if you will. But I still think that Jordan's Bulls were going to three-peat. I think they would have won that second three-peat even still. I think the real hypothetical would have been, and Gary, I know you want to get into this. I don't know if tonight's the night now that we are nearing the 2 a.m. hour and the 3-hour mark here. The more hypothetical question would have been, had Jordan not retired to play baseball? And again, this is another hypothetical what if. I'm telling you, there's so many of these what ifs. This is why. Right. But one of them is like, what if Jordan ran up 2 years in a row against the Hakeem Rockets in like 93-94? So like that to me is the better hypothetical, because people just assume like it's just this running narrative like, oh, well, Jordan would have had 8 straight had he not retired, because like he obviously would have won those 2 middle ones. No, I don't think so. Like, I think Hakeem would have won at least one, if not both of those still. But Gary, I know that's something should we table that for maybe another?
Yeah. We don't have to get into that right now. But yeah, we're already going on close to 3 hours.
Right. That's the more hypothetical to me. But great question, Rob, nonetheless, and thank you for your support. Next, we've got Erg in, who is a regular supporter here of the lounge. So thank you very much. Welcome back in. And what is the question?
Here's one. What if the fan didn't hit Artest in the face with that beer while he was laying on the scorer's table? Effect on the Pacers and NBA overall?
Yeah, the Pacers were really good that year. So that too is a good hypothetical to unpack. Basically like the whole team was suspended for the remainder of the season. Definitely Artest was, and he was like in his peak. That would have been that happened. That game occurred in 2004, November 19th, 2004. So early on in the season. So that would have been the 2004-2005 NBA season. that was the year that the Pistons got into the NBA Finals and lost to Gary's Spurs in 7. Was that year, and the Pacers ultimately played the Pistons pretty tough. There was bad blood between those teams from the year before, when actually, remember, the Pistons the year before that won the NBA championship, one of the most stunning upsets ever in NBA history, when they beat the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, in effect ended the Shaq and Kobe dynasty. But people forget that in the Eastern Conference Finals that year was the Pistons and Pacers, and actually the Pistons and Pacers gave the Pistons a better series than the Lakers ultimately did. Just unpacking that, the Pacers actually won game 1 in that. So the year before, the 2003 Eastern Conference Finals, the Pacers beat the Pistons 78-74. Then the Pistons beat the Pacers 72-67 in game 2. Then the Pistons came back and won game 3, 85-78. Then the Pacers won to even the series 83-68. Then the Pistons won 83. Listen to these scores, 83-65. And then the final game, game 6, the elimination game where the Pistons won the series 69-65. Are you hearing these scores, kids? Like anyone like that's not in their 20s or 30s, even early 30s, that might be in the lounge right now. Listen to these scores. Like the average scoring per game in this series, in this 2003 Eastern Conference Finals between the Pacers and the Pistons. This is ridiculous. The Pistons averaged 75 points per game for a 6-game series and won the series in 6. The Pacers averaged 72 points per game. That's the average, series-long average. That's what defense was like back in the early 2000s.
Right.
So bad blood between the Pacers and the Pistons. And of course, that spilled over into their early matchup the next year, the November matchup, which ultimately became the Malice and the Palace. So, I mean, really, hypothetically, Erg, to answer your question, like maybe the Pacers get better that year because those players were kind of still young. That team is kind of young. Maybe they derail the Pistons' run, but the Pistons ultimately didn't win the finals anyway. The Spurs would have won it that year, and I think they would have beaten the Pacers still, even if it were the Pacers. So I don't think it would have been necessarily NBA Finals impacting, but still, nonetheless, an interesting hypothetical to consider. Mm-hmm. And finally, Gary, we have Kayako back in, who is talking about the LeBron Curry dynamic, and go ahead and read this one.
Curry holds one of the highest win shares in NBA.
So I'm a big advanced analytics guy, and I know that this is not I know that this is not true. So I do have to just look it up just to confirm. I don't want to trash talk you, Kayako, but I do have to just confirm, because I do not believe that is true. First of all, win shares is a denomination. It's win shares plays into longevity. So there's 2 ways to look at it: win shares and win shares per 48 minutes. I think the superior way to view it and to determine the more valuable individual players and specifically how good their peaks were is how good their win shares per 48 is, because it normalizes things like longevity. So like, to me, when you look at just win shares, period, it's just going to be the guys that played like for a long stage. And to my point there, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the all-time leader in win shares. LeBron James is number 2. Then Wilt Chamberlain, then Karl Malone, then Chris Paul, then Michael Jordan, then John Stockton, then Tim Duncan, then Dirk Nowitzki, and then Kevin Garnett to round out the top 10. And then Steph Curry in win shares total, period, is all the way down at 30th, right around Dolph Shays, Dwight Howard, and Jason Kidd. But let us look, though, at per 48. I know who number 1 is Nikola Jokic, all-time in NBA history. Just one of the many reasons I call him the god of advanced analytics, because he is the best. He's better. He has surpassed Jordan in win share per 48, BPM, PER, things that LeBron James never could do. But let me just unpack the overall per 48 win share of it. The top guys: Nikola Jokic, number 1, Michael Jordan, number 2, David Robinson, 3rd all time in win share for 48, Will Chamberlain, 4th all time. Other names you might recognize: Kareem at 6. Again, Chris Paul, very high, 7th. Magic Johnson, 8. You have to go down to find Steph Curry, again, 29th. So he's around 29th in per 40. So he's right around 30th. So he's 29th in per 48, 30th in all-time win share. But still, hell, like top, like 30th is not, that he's no slouch. But if we're talking about Curry as being maybe a top 5 player or even a top 10 player, that's not necessarily bared out in the win share metric. But I think maybe though, Kayako, just to throw you a bone on the win share, or on what your point is about Steph Curry's value. He does provide his per 100 splits in his on-offs is amongst the best ever. When you look at Curry on and off, specifically in his prime years, really this century, in their peak years, the best on-off guys are Nikola Jokic, Kobe Bryant, and Steph Curry. Like when you look at like what his teams do when he's off per 100 and when he's on per 100, the differential, the discrepancy in the amount of points that he provides and brings, like Kobe, Nikola Jokic, and Steph Curry are like the best in the century of the 2000s, basically. So like maybe that's kind of like, to your point, like what kind of value Curry provides, even if it's not necessarily bared out in the win shares. But I like advanced analytic things, so I just had to look into that and just confirm that for myself.
One more, hang on, that got overlooked from Xavier.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You down. Just a comment that I think we all agree on, saying LeBron is comfortable with being trash and losing. And I think that's contrary to Kobe and Jokic, guys who are not comfortable the way LeBron is.
Great point, Xavier. Unfortunately, sadly, tragically, it's not just LeBron. It's a lot of the NBA today. Like, Kevin Durant, I think, said something about like, he was asked like if the year was a waste or whatever because he didn't win a championship, and he said he can't say that. Like he grew as a man, he grew as a player. He had great enjoyment of playing basketball for the year. He made a ton of money to do something he loved. So like he couldn't say that it was a waste. But the question was basically an exact lift from a press conference that Kobe Bryant had when he lost in 2011 to the Dallas Mavericks that stopped his bid at a second three-peat. Kobe, unsolicited, he went in and made an opening comment and didn't even take questions, and he said he apologized to the fans of the Lakers and said that he wasted a year of his life that year, because any year that ends in him not winning a championship is his ultimate goal. And any year that ends in him not winning a championship is a complete failure of his year. So like, it's basically all these players. Like it just doesn't hit as hard as it did for other players in other eras. And you're right. LeBron is the poster child of that. Like LeBron just doesn't really care about winning. He's already stolen his 4. He thinks 4 is enough. He stole his 4 by bouncing from super team to super team and mercenarying himself out. So he doesn't really care moving forward now, what the ledger looks like for him in terms of that win-loss. But yeah, good point. Sorry to miss that, Xavier. And the 15 super chats that you dropped, I passed over that one. But we do have Carlo actually started us off, I think, at the very beginning. Q-Smo, Jimbo started.
Yeah, Knicks fan.
Right, Q-Smo. So Carlo though is back in. And Carlo is a regular as well on here. So Carlo, welcome back into you. Thank you for supporting us here as always in the lounge. And Gary, what's the question or comment from Carlo?
Kawhi is like our test without the craziness. Both defensive players of the years. Kawhi more polished offensively, but Ron averaged almost 25 points before the malice with elite defense.
Yeah, our test is like Artest was a great player. There's no doubt about it. I obviously I think much higher than of Kawhi. I think he actually, I mean, he was an elite defender. I'm just looking over Artest's defense. He never really got to. He was like his career high was 21 points per game. He actually, this is pretty shocking to me. Ron Artest was only an all-star 1 year. I did know that because he was on the Lakers. He was on the Lakers' second Pau Gasol championship team. So like he's constantly brought up. His name is constantly invoked to be like, oh, well, Kobe had a lot of help. He had Artest. Like Artest was 30. He was 36 years old. When hang on, I'm sorry. He was 33. He was I'm sorry. He was only 30. In that he played for LA longer than I thought, actually. He played for LA 4 years. So a longer stint in LA, and then he came back actually to end his career. But anyway, he had played. He was 30 at the time. He averaged 11 points per game that year that they won the championship that season, and he was 8 years removed from his All-Star appearance. So I did know that he was only an All-Star once, but that is crazy to think about. That Ron Artest was only an All-Star once, and he only made one All-NBA team, which would have been that same 1 year he was an All-Star, and it was third team All-NBA. So one All-NBA team only, one All-Star appearance only, and it was in his age 24 season. The season, I believe, right before the Malice in the Palace. And then you're right, actually. He was averaging 24.5 points per game, 25 points per game, but that was in only 7 games that year in his age 25 season. So in only 7 games preceding the Malice in the Palace, he was averaging that. But that was an outlier, 7 games, because he never got close to that the rest of his career. But, you know, despite the fact he was only an All-Star once, despite the fact he was only All-NBA third team once, look at these defensive finishes. Defensive Player of the Year runner-up, then Defensive Player of the Year winner, DPOY 4, DPOY 8, DPOY 5, DPOY 6. Like he was a really hellacious elite defender in his own right. There's no doubt about that. Great point, Carlo. And finally, we have Will N back in. Will N, a regular with a generous donation here for us in the lounge. I can't believe it is now 3 hours in. This is our final super chat. Gary, bring us home. What does Will N have to say or ask here?
What adjustments could the 2011 Bulls with prime Derrick Rose and prime Noah have made to win the series against the Heatles in the Eastern Conference Finals, considering on paper they had a stronger roster than Dirk's Mavs?
I mean, to be honest with you, I just think the Heat absolutely choked in that playoff series against the Mavericks. I think they were up 2-1. They were up 13 in the fourth quarter in Game 4. They should have been up 3-1. It would have been a wrap at that point. They just completely unraveled in the fourth quarter in that game 4 to get even 2-2, and then they never won another game. So they lost like 3 straight games, and it was amid a historic, epic choke job by LeBron James, the biggest choke job in NBA history. That Heat team should have been unbeatable. I don't really think the Bulls. I just don't think I'm looking at the series like the Bulls actually won Game 1 by 21 points. They won Game 1 103-82 over the Heat, and then the Heat just kind of like they totally locked them down. Like the Bulls scored 75 points in Game 2, 85 points in Game 3, 93 in Game 4, and then 80 in the Game 5 elimination game. I just really don't think there were really many adjustments to be made in that series. Quite frankly, look, that's the one series. People talk about LeBron James being like an elite 1 through 5 defender. I don't think that he is. But one of the series that he was an elite defender though in his own right for I think like a 5 or 6 year span, mainly coinciding with his time spent in Miami. And that is the one series that people always point to, is that series where they're like, oh, after game one, LeBron just locked Rose down. And quite frankly, like that did kind of happen. Like Derrick Rose shot 35% from the field in that series. So like, that was, again, that was in the 2011, the 2010, whatever, 2011 season, whatever it was. Derrick Rose, that was his MVP season during the regular season. I mean, he wasn't like an elite shooter, quite frankly. 45% from the field that year in his MVP campaign at really the age of 22. Crazy that he was that young, but for him to drop to, he was shooting 35% throughout that series then, including like just some real stinkers of games. The game two, after that 21-point win in game one, in 41 minutes, Derrick Rose scored 21 points on 7 of 23 shooting from the field. I mean, I guess if you want to look at it, what adjustments really could have been made was like, how could they free Derrick Rose from LeBron's grasps in those games 2, 3, 4, 5? How could what could you have run him through in terms of like either off ball movement, or maybe go heavier in pick and roll sets. I don't know. I think maybe running LeBron around those screens and stuff and getting him on some kind of probably not getting him on a switch through like a pick and roll, but maybe just picking him off like without the ball and getting him in space with somebody other than LeBron. Like maybe those are the kinds of adjustments like you could have made in real time, because quite frankly, it just was Derrick Rose got clamped down. Like that's why they just could not win after that game one. But great question though, Will N. And guys, many thanks to all of you for your continued support and generosity of me here in the lounge. 40 super chats tonight from you guys, which some of them we got on a Kobe discussion, obviously, which ran us a little bit long. That's a topic I'm always willing to talk in excess about. So many thanks for those of you who have stuck around. Still 230-ish people here on this live stream at my time. It's 2:13 a.m. right now. So many thanks to all of you guys. Of course, this all began with us unpacking yet another crazy choke job in this Knicks Pacers Eastern Conference Finals. It's like just a series of chokes, and who can out-choke whom moving forward. I guess we'll see on Tuesday what's next. As I said, I like Indiana to come back and kind of make up for tonight's game, though you can never really make up for these kind of losses. They should have been up 3-0. They blew a 20-point lead in this game. They got outscored by 16 points in the fourth quarter. So the night began with us unpacking that, and then just kind of led to a series of obviously conversations and discussions as we're prone to get into here in the lounge. And speaking of which, right as I'm getting out here at a little bit after 2 a.m. my time, at the 3 hour and 15 minute mark of this live stream in the lounge, we get one more in here from a regular, Mason. Go ahead, Gary, and read what Mason has for us.
Cat saved my Sunday. God bless him. LOL.
Yep, we talked about Karl Anthony Towns earlier. Cat was I think the leading guy that led the charge. He was the impetus behind this big comeback tonight for them. They kind of did it without Brunson. So like Brunson wasn't really there when he was keyed by Karl Anthony Towns. And Towns, again, much maligned in Minnesota, a perennial kind of all-star fixture. The guy scored 50. Obviously, the all-star game is a joke, and nobody plays any defense. But the guy scored 50 in the all-star game 2 years ago. So this year, he's all-NBA. He makes an all-NBA designation, an all-star again. They just didn't seem to want him in Minnesota. New York thought that he would improve their lineup. This is a rare case of like this trade worked out for both teams. I think Minnesota probably got better by bringing Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, whereas Karl Anthony Towns has been a very, very valuable asset to this team throughout this playoff run, which, hell, they're still alive and kicking. I still think they've blew their chance by losing games 1 and 2 at home, but they're still alive, maybe potentially to get into the NBA Finals. We'll see how the game 4 plays out on Tuesday. But for tonight, Karl Anthony Towns is the big hero. So yes, Mason, shout out to you, obviously a Knicks fan, and shout out to your man Kat for rescuing your Sunday. And again, shout out to everybody. Gary, many thanks to you for your continued work here for me and in supporting us and supporting our lounge endeavors as always. Guys, happy Memorial Day weekend. I do not know the schedule for tomorrow, what I've got on the docket here. I will try my best, obviously, as always, to squeeze into the lounge after the game tomorrow. I think it's about probably an 8:30 tip tomorrow. That will be, of course, Minnesota and Oklahoma City game 4. So if we can, we will be on the Skap Live After Dark following the buzzer, the final buzzer sounding in that game. But until then, everybody out there in YouTube land and Gary, good night, Godspeed, and happy Memorial Day. We'll see you next time.